The NASAT's mocking laughter echoes through the United Nations Assembly Hall as they ridicule humanity's primitive technology. But in an Antarctic ice cave, archaeologist Harry King uncovers a discovery that will silence their scorn. Harry's gloved hands tremble as he brushes away millennia of ice, revealing a human face beneath. Perfect preservation. No signs of decay. The implications are staggering. "Dr. King, you need to see this," his assistant calls out, voice quavering with excitement and disbelief. Harry rushes over, nearly slipping on the icy floor. His team crowds around a bank of cryogenic pods, their readouts still active after thousands of years. Initial scans indicate the occupants are over 10,000 years old, predating all known human civilizations. As Harry processes the magnitude of their find, his satellite phone chirps. It's Dr. Yamamoto from Mission Control. "Harry, the NASAT ambassador is demanding access to your dig site. Whatever you've found, they want to verify it themselves." Harry's mind races. The fate of humanity standing in the galactic community now rests on his shoulders, and the secrets entombed in this ice cave. He knows he needs more time before the condescending aliens arrive. "Stall them," Harry orders. "We need at least 48 hours to secure and document everything." He turns back to the ancient humans in cryosleep, marveling at their advanced technology. This discovery challenges everything we thought we knew about human history and capabilities. News of the finding spreads like wildfire. Harry's phone won't stop ringing as government officials, reporters, and colleagues all demand answers. Global tensions rise as nations vie for control over this potentially game-changing technology. Ambassador Yuna, the skeptical NASAT representative, broadcasts a message to Earth. "We find your claims of ancient advanced humans highly dubious. We will arrive in 72 hours to conduct our own examination. Any attempt to restrict our access will be seen as an act of deception." Harry grinds his teeth. The arrogant aliens still underestimate humanity, but not for long. He directs his team to carefully extract the first cryopod. As they lift it, the ancient stasis field flickers. Alarms blare. The pod's occupant stirs. After 10,000 years of slumber, ancient eyes snap open. A woman gasps, disoriented but alive. She speaks in an unknown language, gesturing urgently at the other pods. Harry realizes they've awakened something far beyond their understanding. The woman's eyes lock onto his, filled with determination and purpose. Whatever reason these ancients put themselves to sleep, that reason has now awakened with them. With the NASAT bearing down on them and governments scrambling for control, Harry knows the next 72 hours will determine humanity's fate among the stars. The race to uncover the truth of our forgotten past and our potential future begins now. Harry's mind raced as he processed the ancient woman's urgent gestures. The language barrier prevented direct communication, but her intent was clear. The other pods demanded immediate attention. "Dr. King!" Dr. Chen's voice cut through the commotion as he burst into the chamber, his breath visible in the frigid air. "I came as soon as I could. What's the situation?" Harry quickly briefed the cryogenics expert on their unprecedented awakening. Dr. Chen's eyes widened as he took in the scene, his scientific mind already churning with possibilities. "We need to stabilize her and assess the other pods immediately," Dr. Chen declared, pulling out an array of specialized equipment from his pack. "The preservation technology here is unlike anything I've ever seen." As Chen worked to monitor the woman's vital signs, Harry directed his team to carefully extract the remaining cryogenic pods. The icy cave buzzed with activity, a stark contrast to its millennia of silence. "Harry, look at this," his assistant called out, pointing to one of the pod's control panels. A holographic interface flickered to life, displaying intricate symbols in an unknown script. "It's not like any language I've ever encountered," Harry murmured, his fingers hovering over the alien characters. "This goes beyond anything we imagine." Dr. Chen joined them, his face a mixture of awe and concentration. "These readings, they're off the charts. The pods contain trace elements not found on Earth. We're dealing with technology that's not just ancient, it's extraterrestrial." The implications hit Harry like a physical blow. Ancient humans with access to alien technology? The NASA's condescension seemed even more misplaced now. As if on cue, Harry's satellite phone chirped. Dr. Yamamoto's voice crackled through the speaker. Harry, the NASAT delegation has landed. Ambassador Yuna is leading them personally. They'll reach your location in less than 2 hours. Harry's teeth clenched. They needed more time. Understood. We'll be ready. He turned to his team, their faces a mix of excitement and apprehension. Listen up, everyone. We have less than 2 hours to gather as much data as possible. Dr. Chen, focus on deciphering that interface. I want to know everything about these pods and their occupants. As the team redoubled their efforts, a technician monitoring their scanning equipment called out, Dr. King, you need to see this. Harry rushed over, his eyes widening as he took in the ground-penetrating radar results. The ice cave was just the tip of the iceberg. A vast network of tunnels and chambers spread out beneath them, extending deep into the Antarctic ice sheet. It's an entire complex, Harry breathed, his palms sweating at the scale of the discovery. This wasn't just a group of preserved humans. It was potentially an entire civilization hidden beneath the ice. With the clock ticking and the NASAT delegation approaching, Harry knew he had to make a crucial decision. Waiting for the aliens to arrive could mean losing control of the site and all its secrets. There was only one choice. Dr. Chen, I need you to stay here with a small team. Continue studying the pods and prepare for the NASAT's arrival. The rest of you, gear up. We're going in. As his team scrambled to prepare for the expedition, Harry approached the ancient woman. Her eyes, filled with an otherworldly wisdom, locked onto his. Despite the language barrier, a silent understanding passed between them. Harry nodded, a gesture of reassurance and tenacity. Whatever secrets lay hidden in the icy depths, he was committed to uncovering them, not just for the sake of scientific discovery, but for the future of humanity among the stars. With a final check of their equipment, Harry led his team towards the entrance of the underground complex. The narrow passage sloped downward, disappearing into darkness. As they switched on their headlamps, the beams of light revealed glimpses of smooth, engineered surfaces unlike anything they'd seen before. Stay close and stay alert, Harry instructed as they began their descent. We don't know what we'll find down there, but whatever it is, it's going to change everything. The team moved deeper into the complex, their footsteps echoing in the ancient corridors. With each step, they left the familiar world behind, venturing into a realm of forgotten knowledge and untold possibilities. The race to uncover humanity's true legacy had begun, and the next few hours would determine the course of Earth's future in the galactic community. As Harry led his team into the underground passage, the beams of their headlamps revealed a world beyond their wildest imaginations. The narrow corridor quickly opened into a vast chamber, its walls smooth and precise, defying the natural formations of ice and rock. This is incredible, Dr. Chen whispered, his breath visible in the frigid air. The engineering required to create this, it's beyond anything we have today. Harry nodded, his eyes wide as he took in the scene. Fan out, but stay within sight of each other. We need to document everything. As they moved deeper into the complex, the team encountered a cavernous room filled with rows upon rows of cryogenic pods, similar to those they had discovered in the ice cave above. Dr. Chen approached a central console, his fingers hovering over the unfamiliar controls. Harry, I think I can activate this, he said, his voice a mixture of excitement and apprehension. Do it, Harry replied, his heart racing. With a few deft movements, Dr. Chen brought the system to life. A holographic display sprang into existence, bathing the room in a soft blue glow. The team gasped collectively as a three-dimensional map of the facility materialized before them. It's enormous, Harry breathed, tracing the intricate network of tunnels and chambers with his eyes. This complex extends for miles in every direction. As they continued their exploration, they stumbled upon a room that left them speechless. Lining the walls were what appeared to be ancient spacesuits, their design unmistakably intended for human use, yet incorporating materials and technology far beyond anything currently available on Earth. Harry ran his hand over one of the suits, feeling the strange, smooth texture of its fabric. This is it, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Concrete proof that these ancient humans had interstellar capabilities. Suddenly, Harry's satellite phone crackled to life. Dr. Thompson's voice came through, tense and urgent. "Harry, we have a situation up here. The Nasat delegation has arrived, and Ambassador Yuna is demanding immediate access to the complex. I'm doing my best to stall, but they're growing impatient." Harry's face hardened. "Keep them occupied as long as you can, Sarah. We need more time." As they pushed deeper into the facility, the team came across a sealed chamber. With nervous excitement, they managed to open it, revealing a sight that stopped them in their tracks. Inside lay a perfectly preserved human male, appearing to be in his mid-30s, resting outside of a cryogenic pod. Dr. Chen immediately began scanning the man with their equipment. "This is incredible," he reported. "His vital signs are stable. We might actually be able to revive him." Harry studied the man's uniform, noting the symbols that matched those found throughout the facility. "Let's call him Adam for now," he said. "We need to—" His words were cut short by another urgent communication from the surface. Dr. Thompson's voice was strained. "Harry, the situation is escalating. The Nasat are threatening to use force. Global military forces are on high alert. We're running out of options." Harry looked at Adam, then back at his team. In that moment, he made a decision that would change the course of human history. "Dr. Chen, begin the revival process. If we can wake him, he might be our key to understanding all of this." As Dr. Chen worked feverishly to initiate the revival sequence, strange energy readings began emanating from Adam's body. The facility around them hummed to life, dormant machinery awakening after millennia of silence. Holographic displays flickered into existence throughout the chamber, projecting star maps and schematics of what appeared to be advanced spacecraft. The team watched in awe as the hidden knowledge of their ancestors unfolded before their eyes. "Harry!" Dr. Chen called out, his voice tight with tension. "His vital signs are stabilizing. I think he's regaining consciousness." Just then, another message came through from the surface. "They've breached the entrance," Dr. Thompson reported, her voice filled with dread. "The Nasat are on their way down." Harry's mind raced. They were out of time. He turned to Adam, watching intently as the ancient human's eyes began to flicker. Slowly, Adam's eyelids opened. His gaze, filled with confusion and something akin to recognition, locked onto Harry's. As he took his first breath in over 10,000 years, the sound of approaching footsteps echoed through the tunnels. The Nasat were coming, and humanity's past and future hung in the balance. Balance. Harry's heart raced as he watched Adam's eyes focus, taking in his surroundings with a mix of confusion and clarity. "Dr. Chen, stabilize him," Harry commanded, his voice steady despite the tension coursing through his body. "We need him coherent before the Nasat arrive." As Chen worked swiftly to monitor Adam's vitals, the ancient human began to stir. His lips moved, forming words in a language long forgotten. Harry leaned in, straining to understand. "It's no use," he muttered, frustration evident in his voice. "We need a way to communicate." Dr. Chen, ever prepared, pulled out a small device from his pack. "This might help," he said, activating an advanced translation software. "It's experimental, but it's our best shot." Adam's eyes darted between the team members, his expression a mixture of curiosity and caution. He raised a hand, pointing at various objects in the room, speaking in his ancient tongue. The translation device hummed to life, processing the unfamiliar language. He's talking about the facility," Chen said, his eyes wide with amazement. "He's saying he was part of an advanced civilization thousands of years ago." Harry's mind reeled at the implications. "Ask him about the technology, the spacecraft we saw in the holograms." Before Chen could relay the question, Adam's hand moved to his chest, activating a hidden panel on his uniform. The chamber around them transformed, holographic displays springing to life with a soft hum. The team watched in awe as schematics of sleek spacecraft and advanced weapon systems materialized before their eyes. "Incredible," Harry breathed, reaching out to touch one of the holographic projections. His hand passed through the image, sending ripples across its surface. The sound of approaching footsteps echoed through the tunnels, growing louder with each passing second. Harry's satellite phone crackled to life, Dr. Thompson's voice urgent and strained. "Harry, they're here. The Nasat delegation is making their way down. Ambassador Yuna is leading them personally. Harry's expression resolute. Understood. We'll be ready. He turned to his team, their faces a mix of excitement and apprehension. Listen up. We're about to face a critical moment in human history. Whatever happens, remember why we're here. We're not just scientists anymore. We're humanity's representatives. The team nodded, steeling themselves for the encounter. Adam, seeming to sense the gravity of the situation, stood up with Chen's assistance. He placed a hand on Harry's shoulder, his eyes conveying a silent understanding. The footsteps grew louder, accompanied by the low hum of energy weapons. Harry took a deep breath, straightening his posture as he prepared to face the Nasat delegation. Ambassador Yuna entered the chamber first, her tall, willowy form a stark contrast to the humans. Behind her, a squad of Nasat security forces filed in, their weapons at the ready. The ambassador's large dark eyes scanned the room, widening slightly at the sight of Adam and the active holographic displays. "Dr. King," Yuna said, her voice cool and measured, "I see you've been busy in our absence." Harry stepped forward, his hands open in a gesture of peace. "Ambassador Yuna, thank you for coming. We've made some extraordinary discoveries that I believe will be of great interest to both our species." Yuna's gaze hardened. "What we see here is a clear violation of our agreement. This technology should be under joint supervision, not secretly activated by your team." "With all due respect, Ambassador," Harry countered, "we've only just begun to understand what we're dealing with. This man," he gestured to Adam, "is a living link to our past, to a time when humanity possessed technology far beyond our current capabilities." Yuna's antennae twitched, a sign of skepticism or perhaps curiosity. "And you expect us to believe this convenient story? That humans once rivaled or surpassed our own technological achievements?" Adam, who had been observing the exchange intently, suddenly stepped forward. He raised his hand, activating another control on his uniform. The chamber filled with a massive holographic display, dwarfing the previous projections. The humans and Nasat alike watched in stunned silence as images of an ancient, advanced human civilization unfolded before them. Vast cities with architecture that defied current engineering limits, spacecraft that seemed to bend the laws of physics, and encounters with alien races, including what appeared to be ancient Nasat. Ambassador Yuna stumbled back, her composure shaken. This cannot be," she whispered, her voice a mixture of awe and disbelief. Harry seized the moment, his voice filled with passion but tempered with diplomacy. "Ambassador, what we're witnessing here is not just human history, but a shared history, a history that could shape the future of both our species." He gestured to the holographic displays, to Adam, to the complex around them. "I propose a joint research initiative. Humans and Nasat working together to understand this technology, this history. Think of the advancements we could make, the mysteries we could solve." Yuna's eyes narrowed, her analytical mind clearly racing. "And the military applications, the power this technology represents?" Before Harry could respond, a low rumble filled the chamber. A section of the wall began to slide away, revealing a hidden hangar. As the dust settled, a sleek, otherworldly spacecraft came into view, its design a perfect blend of aesthetics and function. The Nasat security forces raised their weapons instinctively, but Yuna held up a hand, stopping them. Her gaze moved from the ship to Harry, to Adam, and back to the ship. "It seems," she said slowly, "that we have much to discuss, Dr. King." Harry nodded, a mix of relief and anticipation washing over him. "Indeed we do, Ambassador. Indeed we do." As the humans and Nasat began to cautiously mingle, examining the ancient technology together, Harry knew this was just the beginning. The revelation of humanity's forgotten past had changed everything. The balance of power, the future of Earth's place in the galaxy, it all hung in the balance. And as Adam stood among them, a living bridge between past and present, Harry couldn't help but wonder what other secrets lay hidden in the icy depths of Antarctica, waiting to be discovered, uncovered. The weight of their discoveries pressed upon them, a silent reminder of the monumental task that lay ahead. As the initial tension between the human team and the Nasat delegation began to ease, Adam took a more active role in bridging the gap between the two species. His movements were fluid and purposeful as he approached a nearby control panel, his fingers dancing across the illuminated surface with practiced ease. "Allow me to share our history," Adam said, his voice carrying an otherworldly cadence. "It is time for both our peoples to understand the full scope of what we face." A soft hum filled the chamber as Adam initiated a comprehensive data transfer to both human and Nasat devices. Holographic displays flickered and expanded, filling the air with a tapestry of information. Historical records, technological schematics, and star charts from the ancient human civilization materialized before their eyes. Dr. Chen's eyes widened as he absorbed the influx of data. "This is extraordinary," he breathed, his fingers flying across his tablet as he attempted to process the information. "The sheer volume of knowledge here is overwhelming." Ambassador Yuna's antennae twitched rapidly, a sign of intense concentration as she interfaced with her own data reception device. "Indeed," she agreed, her voice tinged with a mixture of awe and apprehension. "This will require extensive analysis." Harry, recognizing the need for structure amidst the chaos of discovery, stepped forward. "I propose we form a joint human Nasat research team to analyze this data," he suggested, looking between Chen and Yuna. "We'll make more progress working together than separately." Yuna nodded her agreement, her large eyes scanning the room before settling on one of her science officers. "Zorax," she called, "you will lead the Nasat contingent in this endeavor." As Chen and Zorax began to assemble their teams, Harry found himself thrust into a new role. With Adam's emergence and the influx of ancient knowledge, he had become the de facto negotiator between humans, Nasat, and their unexpected ancestor. Harry was in the midst of drafting a preliminary agreement for the sharing of knowledge and technology when his satellite phone crackled to life. Dr. Thompson's voice came through, tense and urgent. "Harry, we have a situation topside. General Thaddeus Armstrong has just landed. He's been sent by the UN to oversee Earth's interests in the facility." Harry's stomach tightened. "Understood, Sarah. I'm on my way up." As Harry made his way to the surface, he could hear the whine of a helicopter's rotors winding down. Emerging from the facility's entrance, he saw a tall, imposing figure striding towards him, flanked by a contingent of military personnel. General Armstrong cut an intimidating figure, his face set in hard lines that spoke of years of command. His eyes, sharp and calculating, locked onto Harry as he approached. "Dr. King," Armstrong said, his voice gruff and authoritative, "I trust you're prepared to brief me on the situation here." Before Harry could respond, Ambassador Yuna emerged from the facility entrance, her willowy form a stark contrast to the general's rigid posture. Armstrong's eyes narrowed at the sight of the alien diplomat. "And who might this be?" he asked, his tone barely concealing his distrust. "General Armstrong, this is Ambassador Yuna of the Nasat," Harry introduced, trying to keep his voice neutral. "Ambassador, General Thaddeus Armstrong, representing the United Nations." The tension between the two was palpable as they regarded each other. Armstrong's hand twitched near his sidearm, while Yuna's antennae flattened against her head in a clear sign of agitation. "General," Yuna said, her voice cool, "I assure you, we are here in the spirit of cooperation and scientific discovery." Armstrong's fist tight. "With all due respect, Ambassador, I'll be the judge of that. This facility and everything in it falls under Earth's jurisdiction." Harry, sensing the situation spiraling, quickly interjected, "General, if you'll follow me, I can brief you on our discoveries. I think you'll find that cooperation is in everyone's best interest." As they descended back into the facility, Harry could feel the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. He knew that the next few hours would be crucial in maintaining the fragile peace they had established. The general's eyes widened as they entered the main chamber, taking in the ancient technology and the bustling activity of the joint research team. Adam, who had been conferring with Dr. Chen, turned to face the newcomers. "General Armstrong," Harry said, gesturing towards Adam, "I'd like you to meet someone who might change your perspective on our situation here." As Adam began to speak, sharing the history of his people and the challenges they had faced, Harry watched the general's expression shift from skepticism to grudging interest. He knew they were walking a tightrope between conflict and cooperation, with the fate of two species hanging in the balance. The revelations continued to unfold, each new piece of information reshaping their understanding of the past and the potential future that lay before them. As the assembled group grappled with the implications of Adam's words, Harry couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the precipice of something far greater than they could imagine. Imagine. The weight of their discoveries pressed upon them, a silent reminder of the monumental task that lay ahead. As the implications of Adam's revelations sank in, a new sense of urgency filled the chamber. General Armstrong, his earlier skepticism replaced by dogged grit, turned to Harry. "Dr. King, it's clear we need to act quickly. What are our next steps?" Before Harry could respond, Adam stepped forward, his ancient uniform glowing faintly in the dim light of the chamber. "We must return to the stars," Adam said, his voice carrying an otherworldly resonance. "The answers we seek and the challenges we must face lie beyond Earth's atmosphere." Harry nodded, his mind racing with possibilities. "The spacecraft we uncovered, it's our key to exploring these revelations further." Ambassador Yuna's antennae twitched with interest. "This vessel, is it truly capable of interstellar travel?" Adam smiled, a hint of pride in his eyes. "More than capable, Ambassador. The Star Chaser, as we called her, was the pinnacle of our deep space exploration technology." General Armstrong's eyebrows shot up. "Star Chaser? You're saying this ship has a name?" "Indeed," Adam replied, "and she's waiting for a crew to awaken her from her long slumber." The next few hours passed in a flurry of activity, as Dr. Chen and his Nasat counterpart, Zorax, pored over the schematics of the Star Chaser. Harry worked with General Armstrong and Ambassador Yuna to assemble a joint human Nasat crew for the mission. Major Jack Harper, a seasoned space pilot from Earth's fledgling off-world colonies, was quickly appointed as the ship's captain. Dr. Sarah Thompson, despite her initial reservations about leaving the research facility, agreed to join as the mission's chief scientist. Krell, a young Nasat engineer with a reputation for brilliance, was selected to help manage the ship's advanced systems. As the crew made final preparations, Adam guided them through the intricate process of powering up the Star Chaser. The ancient ship hummed to life, its sleek design a testament to the advanced civilization that had created it. "The Star Chaser is equipped with faster-than-light capabilities that far exceed anything in our current arsenal," Adam explained as the crew marveled at the ship's control systems. "We'll be able to cover vast distances in a matter of hours." With a final round of checks complete, the Star Chaser's engines roared to life. The assembled team watched in awe as the ship rose gracefully from its hangar, hovering effortlessly before shooting upwards through the specially designed launch tunnel. As they broke through Earth's atmosphere, the true majesty of the Star Chaser became apparent. The ship accelerated smoothly, the stars blurring around them as they engaged the faster-than-light drive. "Setting course for the Epsilon Eridani system," Adam announced, his fingers dancing across the holographic controls. "It was once a key outpost of our civilization." Hours passed like minutes as the Star Chaser hurtled through space. The crew worked tirelessly, familiarizing themselves with the ship's systems and poring over the vast amounts of data Adam had provided. As they approached the Epsilon Eridani system, alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. "Massive structure detected," Major Harper called out, his hands flying over the sensor controls. "It appears to be some sort of space station." The crew watched in amazement as a colossal space station came into view, orbiting a massive gas giant. Despite its apparent age, the station began to power up as they approached, responding to signals from Adam's uniform. "Incredible," Dr. Thompson breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. "It's been dormant for millennia, yet it still functions." As Major Harper maneuvered the Star Chaser towards the station's docking bay, a transmission crackled through the ship's communication system. The message that came through left the crew stunned into silence. "This is Commander Orion Blake of Outpost Epsilon. Identify yourselves immediately." Adam stepped forward, his voice steady as he replied. "Commander Blake, this is Adam, custodian of Earth. We come seeking answers and alliance in the face of a returning threat." There was a moment of tense silence before Commander Blake's voice returned. filled with a mixture of disbelief and hope. By the stars, after all this time, prepare for docking procedures. We have much to discuss. As the Star Chaser smoothly docked with the ancient space station, the crew couldn't help but feel they were on the precipice of something monumental. The answers they sought lay just beyond the airlock, along with challenges they could scarcely imagine. Harry turned to his team, his expression a mix of excitement and apprehension. Remember, we're not just explorers anymore. We're the first contact between our time and theirs. Let's make it count. With a hiss of equalizing pressure, the airlock opened, revealing a corridor that would lead them into a past they'd thought lost forever, and possibly to a future that would determine the fate of multiple civilizations. Species hanging in the balance. As they stepped through the airlock, the crew of the Star Chaser found themselves in a vast, dimly lit corridor. The air was thick with the scent of ozone and ancient machinery. Commander Orion Blake, a tall figure with silver hair and piercing blue eyes, stood waiting for them, flanked by a contingent of officers in uniforms similar to Adam's. "Welcome to Outpost Epsilon," Blake said, his voice deep and resonant. "It's been a long time since we've had visitors." Before anyone could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. Red lights flashed, bathing the corridor in an eerie glow. "What's happening?" Harry demanded, his hand instinctively reaching for a weapon he didn't have. Blake's face hardened. "The Void Horde. They've found us." The words had barely left his mouth when the station shuddered violently. In the distance, they heard the muffled sound of explosions. "To the command center, now!" Blake ordered, breaking into a run. As they sprinted through the winding corridors of the station, Harry's mind raced. The Void Horde? Adam had mentioned a threat, but this was beyond anything he had imagined. They burst into the command center, a cavernous room filled with holographic displays and bustling with activity. Through the massive viewports, Harry could see a terrifying sight. A fleet of massive, organic-looking ships, their surfaces writhing with tendrils of dark energy. "Activate the defense systems!" Blake shouted, his fingers flying over a control panel. A shimmering energy shield sprang to life around the station, just as the first volley of enemy fire struck. Harry turned to Adam, his eyes wide. "What are we up against?" Adam's face was grim. "The Void Horde, an ancient enemy that nearly destroyed our civilization. We thought we had defeated them, but it seems they've returned." "We need to coordinate our defenses," Blake interrupted. "Dr. King, I need you to take command of the Star Chaser. Integrate its systems with our weaponry." Harry nodded, his training kicking in despite the surreal situation. "Understood. Major Harper, assemble a team to man the defensive turrets. Mix humans and NASAT. We'll need all hands on deck." As Harper rushed off, Dr. Chen approached, his face flushed with excitement. "Harry, Zorax and I have finished modifying the Star Chaser's weapons. We've enhanced their effectiveness against the Horde's technology." "Good work," Harry said. "Get to the ship and oversee the integration." As Chen left, Harry turned to see Adam interfacing with the station's central computer, his eyes closed in concentration. "I'm coordinating our efforts," Adam explained. "The station's systems are familiar, yet different. It will take some adjustment." Outside, the battle was intensifying. The Void Horde ships moved with an eerie grace, their dark tendrils lashing out at the station's shield. The Star Chaser, now piloted by Cryo, wove through the enemy formation, its enhanced weapons leaving trails of destruction. Harry watched the tactical display, his mind racing as he coordinated the defense. The station's turrets, now manned by the joint human-NASAT team, fired relentlessly at the encroaching enemy. "We're holding them off," Blake said, his voice tense. "But we can't keep this up forever. We need to turn the tide." As if in response to his words, a massive Void Horde ship emerged from the swirling chaos of battle. It dwarfed the others, its surface a nightmare of pulsing organic matter and crackling dark energy. Blake's face paled. "The command ship. If it breaches our defenses, we're finished." Harry stared at the monstrous vessel, his mind racing. Then his eyes fell on the gas giant looming in the viewport. "The Nova Forge," he whispered. Blake turned to him sharply. "What did you say?" "The Nova Forge," Harry repeated louder this time. "Adam mentioned it. some kind of super weapon hidden in the gas giant's core. Could we use it against the Horde? Blake's eyes widened. It's possible, but activating it would require a dangerous mission to the planet's core. The pressures and temperatures are extreme. Harry set his jaw. I'll go. We need every advantage we can get. Blake nodded grimly. Take Adam with you. His knowledge of the ancient systems will be crucial. And Major Harper, you'll need a skilled pilot. As Harry gathered his team, Dr. Chen's voice crackled over the comm. Harry, we've discovered a weakness in the Horde ship's organic structure. A targeted electromagnetic pulse can disrupt their systems. Implement it immediately, Harry ordered. We'll buy you as much time as we can. As Harry, Adam, and Harper boarded a specialized pod designed for the extreme conditions of the gas giant, the battle raged on. The station shuddered under the relentless assault, but the defenders fought on, their newly discovered tactic giving them a fighting chance. The pod detached from the station, plunging towards the swirling surface of the gas giant. As they descended into the turbulent atmosphere, Harry gripped his seat, his eyes fixed on the rapidly approaching core. This is it, he thought, his heart pounding, our last best hope. The pod vanished into the stormy depths of the gas giant, leaving behind a battle that would determine the fate of not just one world, but an entire galaxy. Galaxy. The fate of humanity hung in the balance as the pod disappeared into the swirling maelstrom of the gas giant. Inside the cramped vessel, Harry, Adam, and Harper fought against the intense G-forces as they plummeted towards the planet's core. The pod's hull groaned under the immense pressure, the temperature rising rapidly despite their advanced shielding. We're approaching the Nova Forge, Adam announced, his eyes glowing with an otherworldly light as he interfaced with the pod's systems. Prepare for final descent. Suddenly, the turbulence ceased. They found themselves in a vast, hollow space at the planet's core, occupied by a colossal machine pulsing with energy. The Nova Forge loomed before them, a testament to the technological prowess of Adam's ancient civilization. I'll need to interface directly with the Forge, Adam said, his voice strained. It may be dangerous. Before Harry could protest, Adam had already connected himself to the machine. Energy crackled around him as information flooded his consciousness. The pod's systems went haywire, alarms blaring as the Nova Forge surged to life. Harper, get us out of here, Harry shouted over the din. As Harper skillfully maneuvered the pod back towards the planet's surface, a massive pulse of energy erupted from the core. The gas giant itself seemed to shudder, and a beam of pure energy shot out into space. Back on the station, the battle had reached a fever pitch. The defenders watched in awe as the energy beam from the planet below struck the Void Horde's command ship. The massive vessel shuddered, its dark energy tendrils withering under the assault. Now's our chance, Blake's voice rang out over the comms. All units, concentrate fire on the command ship. The station's defenses, the Star Chaser, and the remaining fighters unleashed a barrage of weaponry. Unable to withstand the combined assault, the command ship began to break apart, its destruction sending shockwaves through the Void Horde fleet. As the enemy forces fell into disarray, the pod carrying Harry, Adam, and Harper docked with the station. Medical teams rushed to assist them, with Adam requiring immediate attention due to his dangerous interface with the Nova Forge. In the aftermath of the battle, the station buzzed with activity. Damage control teams worked tirelessly to repair the destruction wrought by the Void Horde, while others tended to the wounded. The victory, while significant, had come at a great cost. Harry found himself in the command center, coordinating efforts with Blake and the others. The immediate threat had been repelled, but they all knew this was just the beginning. We've bought ourselves some time, Blake said, his voice heavy with exhaustion. But the main Void Horde fleet is still out there. We need to prepare. Harry nodded, his mind racing with the enormity of the task ahead. We need to assess our resources, repair our defenses, and figure out our next move. As if on cue, Dr. Chen burst into the room, his face flushed with excitement. Harry, you need to see this. We've made a breakthrough with Adam's condition. They rushed to the medical bay, where Adam lay on a bed, surrounded by a web of holographic displays. His eyes fluttered open as they approached, a newfound clarity in his gaze. Harry, Adams said, his voice stronger than before. The Nova Forge. It's changed me. I can see the station's systems more clearly now, interface with them on a deeper level. Dr. Chen nodded enthusiastically. His neural patterns have been altered. It's as if the ancient technology has integrated with his own consciousness. As they discussed the implications of Adam's transformation, alarms blared throughout the station. Blake rushed to a nearby console, his face grave as he read the incoming data. Long-range sensors are picking up multiple signatures at the edge of the system, he announced. It could be the main Void Horde fleet, or something else entirely. Harry's heart raced as he realized the true scale of the conflict they were now embroiled in. The battle they had just won was merely the opening salvo in a war that would determine the fate of not just Earth, but countless civilizations across the stars. As the station's occupants scrambled to prepare for whatever was approaching, Harry knew that the decisions they made in the coming hours would shape the course of history. With Adam's enhanced abilities, the advanced technology at their disposal, and the combined strength of humans and Nasat, they had a fighting chance. But as he looked out at the vast expanse of space, now alight with the approaching unknown, Harry couldn't help but wonder if it would be enough to face the challenges that lay ahead. But as the unknown fleet approached, they knew they couldn't afford to wait. The time for action had come. "Prepare the Star Chaser for immediate departure," Harry commanded, his voice steady despite the tension in the air. "We need to reach Earth before the Void Horde does." As the crew scrambled to ready the ship, Harry briefed his team on their crucial mission. The upgrades to the Star Chaser had been completed in record time, thanks to the combined efforts of Dr. Chen, Zorax, and the station's engineers. The ship now boasted enhanced faster-than-light capabilities and weapon systems that incorporated both human and Nasat technology. Within hours, the Star Chaser detached from the ancient space station, its sleek form gleaming against the backdrop of stars. As they engaged the FTL drive, Harry felt the familiar lurch in his stomach, amplified by the ship's increased speed. "Entering uncharted space," Major Harper announced from the helm, "using the star charts from the ancient database to plot our course." The journey pushed the limits of the Star Chaser's new systems. Periodic adjustments were necessary as they navigated through regions of space previously unknown to them. The ship's crew worked tirelessly, with humans and Nasat alike monitoring systems and making repairs on the fly. Days into their voyage, alarms blared on the bridge. "Unidentified structure detected," reported Krell, her multifaceted eyes scanning the readouts. "Appears to be an abandoned space station." Harry leaned forward, studying the image on the main view screen. The station bore clear signs of damage, its outer hull scarred and pitted. "Those marks, they're consistent with Void Horde weapons." "Should we investigate?" Dr. Chen asked, his scientific curiosity evident in his voice. After a moment's consideration, Harry nodded. "We can't pass up the opportunity to gather intelligence. Prepare an exploration team." Colonel Evelyn Steele, her face set with persistence, volunteered to lead the mission. Her experience fighting the Void Horde in the original war made her the ideal choice. As the team boarded the shuttle, Harry gave them final instructions. "Be cautious but thorough. Any information about the Horde's tactics could be crucial." The shuttle docked with the derelict station, and Steele's team entered wearing environmental suits. They moved through darkened corridors, their helmet lights casting eerie shadows. "Command, we've located the main computer core." Steele's voice crackled over the comm. "Attempting to access logs now." Minutes ticked by as the team worked. Finally, Steele's excited voice broke the silence. "Harry, you're not going to believe this. The station's inhabitants were experimenting with Nova Forge technology. An early version, but unmistakable." Harry's mind raced with the implications. This could mean there are more Nova Forge installations out there, possibly closer to Earth. As the team continued their exploration, they stumbled upon a sealed chamber. After carefully breaching the door, they found a single stasis pod, its occupant miraculously alive. Back on the Star Chaser, the medical bay buzzed with activity as they revived the survivor. As the man's eyes fluttered open, he spoke in a hoarse whisper. "I am Dr. Alexei Kuznetsov. Where am I?" Harry explained the situation, watching as understanding dawned on the scientist's face. Dr. Kuznetsov revealed that he came from an advanced human colony that had managed to evade the Void Horde for centuries. His expertise in Nova Forge technology proved invaluable, and he quickly integrated into the Starchaser's crew. As they resumed their journey to Earth, the ship's long-range sensors detected unusual activity in a nearby star system. Upon closer inspection, they witnessed a Void Horde scouting party attacking a small planetary outpost. "We can't just stand by," Harry declared, despite the risk of revealing their presence. "Prepare for combat. Let's see what these upgrades can really do." The ensuing battle was intense but swift. The Starchaser's advanced weapons tore through the Void Horde scouts with unprecedented efficiency. However, as the fight progressed, Harry noticed something disturbing. "Their ships, they're adapting," he muttered, watching as the enemy vessels altered their tactics mid-battle. "They've evolved since our last encounter." After successfully defending the outpost, Harry established contact with its inhabitants. To their surprise, they encountered a previously unknown spacefaring species called the Zenth. The grateful aliens provided valuable intelligence about recent Void Horde movements and tactics. As the Starchaser approached the outskirts of the solar system, a coded transmission from Commander Blake reached them. The message, fragmented and distorted, spoke of additional Nova Forge devices being located and activated. Before they could request clarification, the transmission cut off abruptly. With Earth now visible on their scanners, Harry gathered his diverse crew on the bridge. Humans stood shoulder to shoulder with Nasat, united in their mission. Dr. Kuznetsov and the Zenth representatives added their expertise to the mix. "We carry with us the hopes of not just Earth, but countless civilizations across the galaxy," Harry addressed them, his voice firm. "Our mission is clear. Warn Earth's leaders, implement our advanced defenses, and locate any hidden Nova Forge devices on the planet." As the Starchaser began its final approach to Earth, the crew's drive was palpable. They had traversed uncharted space, battled evolved enemies, and forged new alliances. Now, on the brink of a war that would determine the fate of the galactic realm, they prepared to face their greatest challenge yet. The blue planet grew larger in their view screen, a beacon of hope in the vast expanse of space. But as they drew closer, a new alarm sounded on the bridge. Major Harper's voice cut through the tension. "Multiple contacts detected in Earth orbit. Unknown configuration." Harry's eyes narrowed as he studied the readings. "It seems our arrival isn't going to be as straightforward as we hoped. Prepare for possible engagement. Let's hope Earth's defenses haven't forgotten how to distinguish friend from foe." Foe. As the unknown vessels drew closer, their configurations became clearer on the Starchaser's sensors. "Those aren't Void Horde ships," Major Harper announced, his voice a mix of relief and confusion. "They appear to be human-made?" Harry leaned forward, studying the readouts with intense focus. "Initiate long-range scans of Earth and its surroundings. We need to know what's changed since we left." The crew worked swiftly, compiling data from various sensors and instruments. As the information poured in, a picture of Earth's current state began to form. "Sir," Krell reported, her multifaceted eyes reflecting the holographic displays, "it appears Earth has constructed a rudimentary orbital defense network. The technology is primitive compared to ours, but it's a significant advancement from when we departed." Before Harry could respond, a transmission cut through the ship's communications. "Unknown vessel, this is Admiral Jonathan Harding of the United Earth Defense Command. Identify yourself and state your intentions immediately." Harry exchanged glances with his crew, recognizing the gravity of the situation. "This is Harry King aboard the Starchaser. We come with critical information about an imminent threat to Earth. Request immediate meeting with Earth's leaders." A tense silence followed before Admiral Harding's voice returned, his tone cautious but less hostile. "Starchaser, maintain your current position. We're dispatching an escort to guide you to a secure docking station. Prepare for full security screening upon arrival." As the Starchaser followed its escorts, Dr. Kuznetsov busied himself analyzing Earth's defensive capabilities. His fingers flew over holographic interfaces, compiling data at a furious pace. "Harry," he called out, his accent thick with urgency, "Earth has made impressive strides, But their defenses are still grossly inadequate against the Void Horde. We must upgrade their systems immediately. Colonel Steele nodded in agreement. We'll need to adapt our hybrid strategies to work with their current capabilities. It's not ideal, but it's our best shot at preparing them quickly. As they approached the orbital station, Zylara, the Zenth representative, stepped forward. I believe I can assist as well. Our cloaking technology could be invaluable in protecting key installations and populations. The Starchaser docked smoothly with the station, and Harry led his team through the airlock. They were met by a contingent of heavily armed soldiers, their weapons a mix of familiar designs and more advanced prototypes. Admiral Harding stood at the forefront, his stern face etched with lines of constant vigilance. Welcome back to Earth, Mr. King. I hope you understand our caution. Your ship's capabilities are well beyond anything we've developed. Harry nodded, extending his hand. We understand completely, Admiral, but we don't have time for lengthy explanations. Earth is in imminent danger, and we need to brief your leaders immediately. Harding studied Harry for a moment before nodding sharply. Follow me. We've set up a secure conference room. Earth's top officials are standing by for an emergency meeting. As they walked through the station's corridors, Harry and his team observed the frantic activity around them. Technicians rushed to and fro, working on unfamiliar equipment that bore hallmarks of both human ingenuity and clear Nasat influence. Inside the conference room, holographic projections of world leaders filled the space. Harry stepped forward, feeling the weight of Earth's fate on his shoulders. Ladies and gentlemen, he began, his voice steady despite the tension in the air. I bring grave news. The Void Horde, an enemy beyond anything humanity has faced before, is on its way to Earth. We have technology and information that can help defend our planet, but we must act now. For the next several hours, Harry and his team presented their evidence, explained the nature of the Void Horde threat, and outlined their proposed defense plans. They faced skepticism and disbelief from some quarters, but Admiral Harding's support and the undeniable advanced nature of the Starchaser's technology gradually swayed the doubters. As the meeting concluded, Earth's leaders reached a consensus. They would implement the proposed defense plans immediately, pooling global resources in an unprecedented show of cooperation. Harry's team split into groups, each tackling a crucial aspect of Earth's preparations. Dr. Kuznetsov led a team of Earth scientists in the search for hidden Nova Forge devices, starting with promising sites that matched ancient maps and anomalous energy readings. Colonel Steele and Major Harper dove into intensive training sessions with Earth's military leaders, rapidly updating combat doctrines and integrating new technologies into existing systems. The Nasat specialists from the Starchaser worked tirelessly to upgrade Earth's communication networks and sensor arrays, dramatically improving the planet's early warning capabilities. Zylara oversaw the implementation of Zenth cloaking technology, prioritizing key military installations and civilian shelters around the globe. Harry found himself working closely with Admiral Harding, coordinating the global defense efforts and managing the delicate balance of international cooperation. As weeks passed, Earth's transformation became increasingly evident. Orbital defense platforms took shape, their designs a fusion of human willpower and Nasat ingenuity. On the ground, energy shields flickered to life over major cities, while hidden bunkers vanished from sight under the protection of Zenth cloaking devices. However, the path to Earth's defense was not without obstacles. Dr. Kuznetsov's team encountered ancient booby traps at several suspected Nova Forge locations, requiring careful navigation and disarmament. Meanwhile, pockets of resistance emerged among Earth's population, with some groups protesting against the rapid militarization and alien influences. Despite these challenges, the preparations continued at a breakneck pace. The Starchaser, now serving as a mobile command center, coordinated efforts across the globe. Earth's industries retooled rapidly, churning out advanced weaponry and defensive systems based on designs provided by Harry's team. Just as Earth's new defenses began to take form, a chilling alert came from the long-range sensors. A massive energy signature had appeared at the edge of the solar system, far earlier than anyone had anticipated. The Void Horde had arrived. Harry stared at the sensor readouts, his mind racing. Earth's defenses were not yet complete, and the enemy was already at their doorstep, He turned to Admiral Harding, whose face had grown pale at the news. "Admiral," Harry said, his voice low and urgent, "we're out of time. We need to deploy what we have, and hope it's enough to hold them off while we finish the rest." Harding nodded grimly. "Agreed. I'll inform the world leaders. We're as ready as we'll ever be." As alarms blared across the planet and the first wave of the Void Horde fleet entered the solar system, Harry knew that the greatest battle in Earth's history was about to begin. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and every decision from this point on would shape the future of not just Earth, but the entire galaxy. Galaxy. Harry took a deep breath, steeling himself for the monumental task ahead. "All stations, report status," he commanded, his voice echoing through the Star Chaser's bridge. Krell's multifaceted eyes darted across her console. "Weapons systems online, shields at maximum capacity." Major Harper's voice crackled over the comms. "Ground defense teams in position, awaiting your orders, sir." Admiral Harding stood beside Harry, his face a mask of stubborn persistence. "Earth's orbital defense network is operational. It's not perfect, but it's the best we've got." The tension on the bridge was palpable as the first wave of Void Horde ships entered visual range. Their biomechanical forms, a twisted fusion of organic matter and advanced technology, sent shivers down the spines of even the most hardened crew members. "Initiate Defense Protocol Alpha," Harry ordered. "Krell, take us into the fray. We need to buy time for Earth's ground defenses to fully deploy." The Star Chaser surged forward, its advanced engines propelling it towards the incoming Void Horde fleet. As they closed the distance, the enemy ships unleashed a barrage of energy weapons, their beams slicing through the vacuum of space. "Evasive maneuvers!" Harry shouted as Krell's tentacles danced across the ship's controls. The Star Chaser weaved through the onslaught, its shields flaring brilliantly with each glancing hit. On Earth, Colonel Steele coordinated the ground defenses from a hidden bunker. "All units, prepare for imminent contact. Remember your training. We've prepared for this." The sky above major cities lit up with the fiery trails of Void Horde landing. Craft breaching the atmosphere. Earth's newly upgraded defense systems sprang to life, filling the air with a web of energy beams and missile contrails. In orbit, the battle raged with unprecedented ferocity. The Star Chaser's weapons tore through Void Horde ships with surgical precision, but for every enemy vessel destroyed, 2 more seemed to take its place. "Sir," Krell reported, her voice tight with concern, "the Void Horde is targeting Earth's satellite network. They're trying to blind us." Harry's mind raced. "Reroute power to the long-range communications array. We can't lose contact with the ground teams." As the Star Chaser's crew fought to maintain Earth's defenses, Dr. Kuznetsov's team made a breakthrough deep in the Amazon rainforest. Hidden beneath centuries of overgrowth, they discovered the entrance to an ancient facility. "This is it," Kuznetsov breathed, his eyes wide with excitement and trepidation. "The first Earth-based Nova Forge device." The team worked feverishly to bypass the facility's archaic security systems. Each moment felt like an eternity as they raced against time, knowing that the fate of the planet hung in the balance. Back in orbit, Harry received a priority transmission from Admiral Harding. "King, we've got a problem. The Void Horde has deployed some kind of energy-draining weapon. It's sapping power from our defense grid faster than we can reroute it." Harry's teeth gritted. He knew they couldn't win a war of attrition against the Void Horde. "Admiral, I'm taking the Star Chaser to neutralize that weapon. Can your forces hold the line?" Harding's hesitation was brief but noticeable. "We'll do what we have to. Good hunting, King." As the Star Chaser broke away from the main battle, Harry addressed his crew. "This is going to be a high-risk operation. We'll be using our cloaking technology to get close, but once we engage, we'll be vulnerable. Everyone clear on the plan?" A chorus of affirmatives echoed through the ship. As they approached the massive Void Horde weapon, its grotesque form became visible, a pulsating orb of dark energy surrounded by writhing tendrils. "Cloaking systems engaged," Krell reported. "We're invisible to their sensors. For now." The Star Chaser glided silently through the debris-filled space, dodging fragments of destroyed ships and errant energy blasts. As they closed in on their target, Harry felt his heart pounding in his chest. "Weapons hot," he commanded. "On my mark." Just as Harry was about to give the order to attack, a garbled transmission broke through the comm static. The fragmented message was barely intelligible, but Harry recognized the voice immediately. Commander Orion Blake. "Reinforcements, Stellar Guardians. En route. Hold the line." The message cut off abruptly, leaving more questions than answers. Harry allowed himself a moment of hope before refocusing on the task at hand. "We can't count on reinforcements," he addressed his crew. "Our mission remains the same. We take out that weapon and give Earth a fighting chance." As the Star Chaser prepared to reveal itself and launch its assault, the energy-draining weapon began to pulse with increased intensity. On Earth, Colonel Steele watched in horror as entire sections of the planetary defense grid went dark. "We're losing power across the board," she reported to Admiral Harding. "If we don't stop that thing soon, we'll be defenseless." In the Amazon, Dr. Kuznetsov's team finally breached the last of the Nova Forge facility's defenses. As they rushed to activate the device, they could feel the ground trembling beneath their feet. The Void Horde's ground assault was getting closer. "We need more time," Kuznetsov muttered, his fingers flying across an ancient console. "Just a few more minutes." The fate of Earth balanced on a knife's edge. The Star Chaser poised to strike at the heart of the Void Horde's superweapon, while on the ground, humanity's last hope lay in the activation of technology older than civilization itself. As the battle raged across the planet and in the skies above, the question remained, would it be enough to turn the tide against an enemy that seemed endless in its numbers and ruthless in its drive? Drive. The Void Horde's relentless advance left no room for hesitation. "All hands, prepare for combat maneuvers," Harry ordered, his voice steady despite the tension pulsing through the bridge. "Krell, on my mark, disengage cloaking and bring us in hot." The Star Chaser glided silently through the debris-filled space, its cloaking technology rendering it invisible to the Void Horde's sensors. As they approached the massive, energy-draining weapon, its grotesque form became clearer. A pulsating orb of dark energy surrounded by writhing tendrils that seemed to suck the very light from nearby space. "3, 2, 1, mark!" Harry called. The ship's cloaking field dropped, and the Star Chaser burst into view, its weapons systems roaring to life. Energy beams lanced out, striking the outer shell of the Void Horde weapon. For a moment, it seemed as though their surprise attack had caught the enemy off guard. Then all hell broke loose. Swarms of smaller Void Horde ships peeled away from the main structure, their biomechanical forms twisting and contorting as they oriented towards the Star Chaser. The space around them erupted in a cacophony of energy blasts and explosions. "Evasive maneuvers!" Harry shouted as Krell's tentacles danced across the controls. The Star Chaser rolled and dove, narrowly avoiding the first volley of enemy fire. On the ground, Colonel Evelyn Steele's voice crackled over the comms. "King, this is Steele. We're initiating Operation Nova Burst. 6 teams deploying to activate the remaining Forge devices. It's our best shot at turning this around." "Copy that, Colonel," Harry replied, gritting his teeth as the ship shuddered under enemy fire. "We'll keep them busy up here. Good hunting." As the Star Chaser engaged in a frantic dogfight with the Void Horde's elite guard units, Steele's multinational task force sprang into action. 6 teams, each armed with the latest in human and alien technology, raced towards their designated Nova Forge locations. In the frigid wastes of Siberia, a team led by Captain Yuri Volkov trudged through knee-deep snow, their thermal suits barely keeping the biting cold at bay. 2 clicks to the entrance, Volkov reported, his breath frosting in the air. "No sign of Void Horde activity yet, but stay alert." Half a world away, in the sweltering heat of the Sahara, another team fought their way through a sandstorm. Lieutenant Amira Fawzi squinted against the stinging grains, her eyes fixed on the nav computer strapped to her wrist. "The signal's getting stronger," she called to her team. "The Forge device should be just beyond that dune." As the 6 teams battled the elements and raced against time, Dr. Alexei Kuznetsov worked feverishly in the Amazon facility. His fingers flew across the ancient console, deciphering the complex activation sequences required to bring the Nova Forge network online. "This is incredible," he muttered, his eyes wide with a mix of awe and urgency. Each device operates on a unique frequency. We need to activate them in a specific order to generate the energy field. Back in orbit, the Star Chasers' strike team had fought their way deep into the heart of the Void Horde weapon. Harry led a small group through twisting biomechanical corridors, the walls pulsing with an otherworldly energy that made their skin crawl. "We're approaching what looks like a central chamber," Harry reported, his voice low. "Krell, how are we holding up out there?" The NASAT's response came through garbled with static. "Barely. Shields at percent. Can't hold them much longer." Harry's eyes hardened. They were running out of time. Suddenly, a new voice cut through the comms, crisp, authoritative, and tinged with an accent Harry couldn't quite place. "This is Captain Zara of the Stellar Guardians. We have engaged the Void Horde's rear flank. Hold fast, Earth forces. The cavalry has arrived." A chorus of cheers erupted across the human communication channels. From his command bunker beneath the Pentagon, Admiral Harding allowed himself a brief smile before refocusing on the tactical displays. "All units, press the advantage. We've got them in a pincer now." The battle in orbit shifted as the sleek ships of the Stellar Guardians tore into the Void Horde formation. Energy weapons of unimaginable power lanced through space, vaporizing enemy ships by the dozen. But the Void Horde was far from defeated. As if in response to this new threat, a massive shape began to emerge from the depths of their fleet, a flagship of terrifying proportions, jam-packed with weapons unlike anything seen before. "Sir," a sensor operator called out to Admiral Harding, his voice shaking, "we're detecting massive energy buildups within that new ship. It's creating singularities." Harding's blood ran cold as he watched miniature black holes blink into existence, their gravitational pull tearing apart nearby ships and defense platforms. "All units, fall back to secondary positions. Protect the civilian centers at all costs." As Earth's defensive line buckled under this new onslaught, the race to activate the Nova Forge network grew ever more desperate. 4 of the 6 teams had reported success, but the Sahara team had gone silent, and the Himalayan group was struggling with a malfunctioning device. In the midst of the chaos, Zylara, the Zenth representative aboard the Star Chaser, approached Dr. Kuznetsov with an unexpected proposal. "Doctor," she said, her luminescent eyes grave, "my people have fought the Void Horde for generations. We know their biology. With your expertise, we might be able to create a weapon that could incapacitate them without harming our allies." Kuznetsov's eyes widened at the implications. "A biological countermeasure? That could change everything, but we'd need time." "Time is the one thing we don't have," Zylara replied, her gaze drifting to the displays showing the battle raging above. "We must work quickly." As Kuznetsov and Zylara began their frantic collaboration, Harry's team finally breached the core of the Void Horde's energy-draining weapon. They found themselves in a vast chamber, at the center of which pulsed a writhing mass of dark energy. "This is it," Harry breathed, raising his weapon. "Let's end this." The fate of Earth hung in the balance as multiple fronts of this desperate battle converged. In orbit, on the ground, and deep within enemy territory, humanity and its allies fought with everything they had. The next few moments would determine not just the outcome of this conflict, but the future of Earth in the galactic community. Community. Harry raised his weapon, aiming at the pulsating core of dark energy before him. His team spread out, covering all angles of the vast chamber. As they prepared to fire, a realization struck him. "Wait," he commanded, lowering his weapon. "This isn't just a power source. It's a complex energy matrix." He approached the console nearest to the core, his fingers dancing across the alien interface. Years of experience with NASAT technology allowed him to decipher the basics of the system. "If we simply destroy it, the energy release could vaporize half the planet," Harry explained, his voice tight with tension. "But if we can reprogram it?" His team watched in tense silence as he worked, sweat beading on his forehead. After several agonizing minutes, a series of lights on the console shifted from red to green. "Got it," Harry breathed. "I've reversed the energy flow. Instead of draining our defenses, it's going to start sapping power from the Void Horde fleet. As if on cue, the writhing tendrils of dark energy began to retract, coalescing into a tightly focused beam that shot upward through the ship's superstructure. In orbit, the effect was immediate. The nearest Void Horde ships began to lose power, their weapons falling silent and propulsion systems failing. The tide of battle shifted perceptibly in Earth's favor. Meanwhile, on the surface, Colonel Evelyn Steele monitored the progress of her Nova Forge activation teams with growing anxiety. 4 devices were online, but 2 remained silent. "Sahara team, report!" she barked into her comm. Static answered her for several long seconds before a garbled voice broke through. "This is Major Harper," came the strained reply. "We were ambushed by Void Horde ground forces. Half the team is down, but we're still moving. ETA to the Forge site is 10 minutes. Steele allowed herself a small sigh of relief before switching channels. "Himalayan team, what's your status?" "Colonel, we've got a problem," responded Captain Chen. "The activation sequence is rejecting our inputs. The system's not recognizing modern tech." Steele's mind raced. "Can you jury-rig a solution? We need that device online." There was a pause before Chen replied. "Maybe. We've got some old radio equipment that might interface with the ancient systems, and our NASAT engineer thinks he can boost the signal. It's a long shot, but we're trying it now." As the ground teams raced against time, Dr. Kuznetsov and Zilara huddled over a hastily assembled laboratory setup in the Amazon facility. Their fingers flew across tablets and holographic displays, analyzing complex molecular structures. "There!" Zilara exclaimed, her luminescent eyes wide. "That protein sequence. It's present in all Void Horde biology, but absent in Earth life forms." Kuznetsov nodded excitedly. "If we can target that, create a compound that causes it to break down." They worked feverishly, synthesizing and testing various combinations. Finally, a simulation showed a cascade of cellular deterioration in a Void Horde tissue sample. "We've done it," Kuznetsov breathed. "But how do we deploy it?" In the Pentagon bunker, Admiral Harding watched in horror as another artificial singularity bloomed over Seattle, its voracious gravity well tearing apart buildings and defense platforms alike. "Sir," a young lieutenant called out, "we're receiving a priority transmission from Dr. Kuznetsov." Harding listened intently as the scientist explained their breakthrough and proposed dispersal method. It was risky, but at this point, they were out of options. "Do it," Harding ordered. "I'll coordinate with the Nova Forge teams to create gaps in the shield. But make it quick. We can't leave ourselves exposed for long." As preparations for this audacious attempt got underway, the space battle raged on. Captain Zara's stellar guardian ships danced through the debris field, using the Void Horde's own singularity weapons against them. Her flagship, the Astral Spear, executed a daring maneuver, skimming the event horizon of a small black hole to slingshot around and catch a Void Horde battlecruiser off guard. "All ships, form up on my position," Zara commanded. "We're going to punch through their line and give Earth's forces some breathing room." The Stellar Guardian fleet surged forward, their advanced weapons carving a path through the enemy formation. But for every Void Horde ship they destroyed, 2 more seemed to take its place. On the surface, major cities had become battlegrounds. In the ruins of Dubai, a squad of human soldiers used Zenth cloaking devices to ambush a Void Horde patrol. In Tokyo, mechs reverse-engineered from NASAT technology engaged in close-quarters combat with towering Void Horde walkers. As the Nova Forge network hummed to life, a shimmering energy field began to envelop the planet. Void Horde ships entering the atmosphere suddenly found their systems failing, crashing to the ground in fiery streaks. But the strain on Earth's power grid was immense. Blackouts rolled across continents, plunging entire regions into darkness. In many areas, only emergency generators kept vital defense systems online. Harry and his team fought their way back to the Star Chaser, the reprogrammed energy weapon wreaking havoc on the Void Horde fleet behind them. But as they reached the hangar bay, a massive shadow fell over the ship. The Void Horde flagship, a grotesque leviathan of biomechanical horror, was bearing down on them. Its weapons ports glowed with building energy, preparing to unleash its full fury on the captured weapon and the human interlopers who dared to turn it against them. As Harry's team scrambled to board the Starchaser, the comm system crackled to life. Admiral Harding's voice came through, tense but controlled. "All units, prepare for Operation Stardust. We're lowering sections of the Nova Forge shield. Kuznetsov's countermeasure will deploy in 60 seconds. I repeat, 60 seconds to deployment." The Starchaser's engines roared to life as Harry strapped himself into the command chair. Through the view screen, he could see Earth's atmosphere shimmer as gaps appeared in the protective field. High above, weather modification satellites hummed to life, ready to disperse the newly created biological agent across the battlefield. But as they prepared to fire, long-range sensors lit up with urgent warnings. A massive energy surge erupted at the edge of the solar system. New contacts began popping up on tactical displays by the hundreds. In the Pentagon bunker, on the bridge of the Starchaser, and in command centers across the globe, all eyes turned to these new arrivals. Friend or foe, their presence would decide the fate of the battle, and with it, the future of Earth itself. As the massive energy surge erupted at the edge of the solar system, every eye in the Pentagon bunker turned to the long-range sensor displays. Admiral Harding leaned forward, his fingers tightening as he gripped the edge of the tactical table. "Sir," a sensor operator called out, her voice a mix of awe and relief, "the new contacts, they're human." A chorus of gas filled the room as the unidentified fleet materialized, their sleek ships bearing unmistakable markings of ancient human design. Before anyone could fully process this development, a familiar voice crackled through the communication channels. "This is Commander Orion Blake of the Nebula's Wrath. Earth, we've come to honor the old alliance. The colonies stand with you." Admiral Harding's face broke into a rare smile. "Commander Blake, your timing couldn't be better. We're transmitting tactical data now. Focus your efforts on that Void Horde flagship generating the singularities." "Understood, Admiral. We'll take care of it." The ancient human fleet wasted no time engaging the enemy. The Nebula's Wrath, a massive vessel that dwarfed even the largest Void Horde ships, led the charge. Its weapons flared to life, unleashing beams of energy that cut through the enemy formation seamlessly. Aboard the Starchaser, Harry watched in amazement as the new allies tore into the Void Horde's rear flank. "I can't believe it," he muttered, shaking his head. "The colonies, they're real." His moment of wonder was short-lived as alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Red warning lights flashed across every console, and the deck beneath their feet began to vibrate ominously. "What's happening?" demanded Xylara, steadying herself against a bulkhead. Harry's fingers flew across the control panel, his eyes widening as he interpreted the data. "The energy weapon, it's overloading. We've siphoned too much power from the Void Horde ships. If we don't do something fast, this whole thing's going to blow." For a moment, panic threatened to overwhelm him. Then a spark of inspiration struck. "Wait, the Nova Forge network. If we could channel this excess energy into Earth's power grid, it might just save us and boost the planetary defenses at the same time." He opened a comm channel to the Pentagon. "Admiral Harding, this is Harry King. We've got a situation up here, but also a potential game-changer. I need to speak with Dr. Kuznetsov immediately." As Harry explained his plan, Dr. Kuznetsov's voice came through, tense but focused. "It's risky, Harry. The energy transfer could overload our entire grid, but it might just work. I'm sending you the calculations now. You'll need to modulate the energy flow precisely, or we'll lose everything." On the surface, Colonel Evelyn Steele's team in the Himalayas finally broke through the activation sequence of their Nova Forge device. As the ancient machinery hummed to life, a visible ripple of energy spread across the sky, joining the global network. The effect on the Void Horde was immediate and devastating. Their ships began to drift, weapons systems flickering and failing. Captain Zara, seizing the opportunity, led her Stellar Guardian fleet in a daring assault on the enemy's command and control vessels. "All ships, form up on me," Zara ordered, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. "Target their communication arrays. Let's cut off the head of this snake." In the Sahara, Major Jack Harper and his team fought desperately to maintain their activated Nova Forge device. Waves of Void Horde ground troops surged towards their position, their alien weaponry tearing chunks out of the ancient structure. "Zorax!" Harper shouted over the din of battle. "We need those force fields up now." The Nasad engineer chittered in acknowledgement, his appendages a blur as he worked the controls. Moments later, a shimmering barrier sprang to life around the Nova Forge installation, deflecting enemy fire. Back in orbit, Harry and his team worked feverishly to establish the energy transfer link. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he made minute adjustments, knowing that the slightest miscalculation could spell disaster. "Almost there," he muttered, more to himself than anyone else. "Just a little more." Suddenly the ship lurched as a massive surge of energy flowed through it. For a heart-stopping moment, Harry thought they'd failed. Then the readings stabilized, and he let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. "We did it," he announced, his voice hoarse with relief. "The energy's flowing into Earth's grid. Nova Forge output it's off the charts." As the planetary shield strengthened to unprecedented levels, a new threat emerged. The Void Horde flagship, its systems failing and defeat imminent, altered course. Its new trajectory aimed it directly at the Amazon Nova Forge installation in a final, desperate act of destruction. Commander Orion Blake's voice rang out across all channels. "This is the Nebula's Wrath. We're moving to intercept. All units, clear the area." The massive ancient human ship accelerated towards the Void Horde flagship, a collision course that would determine the fate of the battle. As they closed in, the Nebula's Wrath deployed its secret weapon, a shimmering field of temporal energy that began to envelop the enemy vessel, slowing its advance to a crawl. On Earth, in space, and across the solar system, all eyes turned to this final confrontation. The next few moments would decide not just the outcome of the battle, but the future of humanity in the galaxy. The Void Horde was on the brink of defeat, but victory was far from assured. As the two titanic ships hurtled towards each other, the universe seemed to hold its breath, waiting to see which way the scales of fate would tip. The universe held its breath as the Nebula's Wrath and the Void Horde flagship hurtled towards each other. Suddenly, a shimmering field of temporal energy erupted from the ancient human vessel, enveloping the enemy ship. The effect was immediate and startling. The Void Horde flagship's approach slowed to a crawl, its hull distorting as if viewed through rippling water. Commander Orion Blake's voice crackled over the comms. "Temporal stasis field engaged. Earth, you have your window. Make it count." Aboard the Star Chaser, Harry's fingers flew across the control panel. "Initiating power transfer now," he announced, his voice tense with concentration. The ship vibrated as energy surged through its systems, channeling the vast power of the repurposed Void Horde weapon into Earth's grid. On the planet's surface, the effect was dramatic. Cities plunged into darkness as the power grid overloaded, then flared back to life with renewed intensity. The Nova Forge network hummed with unprecedented energy, its protective field expanding outward like a ripple in a cosmic pond. Admiral Harding watched from the Pentagon bunker as holographic displays showed the shield pushing back the remaining Void Horde ships. "All units, press the advantage," he ordered. "Don't let them regroup." In the Sahara, Major Jack Harper and his team felt the ground beneath them tremble as the Nova Forge installation pulsed with newfound strength. The attacking Void Horde forces stumbled, their biomechanical forms beginning to deteriorate under the effects of the dispersed countermeasure. "Look at that," Zorax chittered, his compound eyes reflecting the sight of collapsing alien soldiers. "It's working." Harper nodded grimly. "Secure the perimeter. I want samples of that biomatter for the eggheads to study." High above, Captain Zara's voice rang out across the Stellar Guardian fleet. "All ships, form up on these coordinates. We're taking out their command and control." Her sleek vessels moved with practiced precision, their weapons finding weak points in the Void Horde's faltering defenses. In the Amazon, Dr. Kuznetsov's eyes widened as he interpreted the data streaming across his screens. "Incredible," he muttered. "The network, it's generating a subspace interference field. Their FTL capabilities are neutralized." He quickly relayed the information to Admiral Harding, who allowed himself a small smile. Cut off and outgunned. Let's make sure they have nowhere to run. But victory, it seemed, would not come without complications. In orbit, the temporal stasis field surrounding the Void Horde flagship began to fluctuate wildly. Commander Blake's voice came through, tinged with urgency. Earth Command, we have a situation. The field is destabilizing. We're experiencing temporal distortions across the ship. Harry's mind raced, calculating possibilities. Admiral, he called out, we might be able to use this weapon to drain power from that temporal field. It's risky, but it could prevent a catastrophic explosion. Harding's response was immediate. Do it, King. We've come too far to lose it all now. As Harry and his team prepared for the daring maneuver, Colonel Evelyn Steele received new orders. Steele, we need that flagship's central core. Assemble a strike team and prepare to board. The colonel's eyes gleamed with anticipation. Understood, sir. We'll get it done. In the void of space, Harry initiated the energy siphoning process. Arcs of temporal energy crackled between the Star Chaser and the distorted field around the Void Horde flagship. For a moment, it seemed to be working. Then alarms blared throughout the ship. We're overloading, Harry shouted. Everyone, abandon ship, now! As escape pods jettisoned from the Star Chaser, the repurposed weapon began to break apart, its hull splitting with silent flashes of light. On Earth, in space, and across the solar system, a sense of victory began to take hold. But at the edge of human sensor range, a new anomaly formed. A massive gravitational disturbance, unlike anything seen before, began to warp the very fabric of space-time. Dr. Kuznetsov's voice was filled with equal parts excitement and trepidation as he reported his findings. The Nova Forge network, I think we've opened something, a rift perhaps to another part of the galaxy, or even another dimension, Harding finished, his pupils dilating at the implications. As the combined fleets of Earth, ancient humans, and the stellar guardians moved into defensive positions around the anomaly, humanity stood at the precipice of a new era. The Void Horde threat was neutralized, but the mysteries of the universe were only beginning to unfold. Harry, watching from his escape pod as the last Void Horde ships were disabled or destroyed, couldn't shake the feeling that this victory was just the beginning of a much larger story. His gaze turned to the strange gravitational phenomenon growing at the edge of the solar system, a mix of anticipation and apprehension stirring in his chest. Whatever lay beyond that strange gravitational distortion, Harry knew it would reshape humanity's understanding of the cosmos. His musings were interrupted by a priority transmission from Admiral Harding. King, we need you back on deck. The Star Chaser's being prepped for a recon mission to that anomaly. Within hours, Harry found himself once again at the helm of the Star Chaser, its systems humming with renewed energy after a rapid repair and refit. The ship's corridors bustled with a mix of familiar and new faces, modern humans working alongside their ancient counterparts, their shared purpose bridging millennia of separation. Major Jack Harper strode onto the bridge, his desert-worn uniform re-pinfused with a crisp flight suit. Reporting for duty, sir, he said, nodding to Harry. Heard you could use someone who knows how to handle the unexpected. Before Harry could respond, a chittering sound announced the arrival of Zorax, the NASAT engineer who'd proved invaluable during the ground assault. Propulsion systems optimized, shield harmonics adjusted for gravitational stress, he reported, his appendages still making minute adjustments to a datapad. As the Star Chaser disengaged from the orbital dock, Harry felt a familiar thrill of anticipation. The vast emptiness of space stretched before them, broken only by the shimmering distortion at the solar system's edge. All stations, report status, Harry commanded, his fingers dancing across the control panel. Weapons systems green, came Harper's response. Sensors calibrated and ready, added the science officer, her eyes never leaving her console. Shields at maximum, Zorax chittered from his station. With a nod, Harry engaged the engines. The Star Chaser surged forward, its advanced hybrid technology allowing it to cover the vast distance in a fraction of the time a conventional ship would require. As they approached the anomaly, the ship's sensors began to light up with warnings. Gravitational fluctuations increasing, reported the science officer. Energy signatures, off the charts. Harry's hands tightened on the controls as he navigated through the distorted space. The Star Chaser shuddered, its shield straining against the immense forces surrounding them. "Zorax, reroute auxiliary power to the shields," Harry ordered. "Harper, keep an eye on our structural integrity." The anomaly loomed before them, a massive tear in the fabric of space-time. Through it, they could see unfamiliar star patterns, a glimpse into a region of space that should have been beyond their reach. Suddenly, a faint signal cut through the interference. "We're picking up a transmission," the communications officer announced, her voice tight with concentration. "Origin?" Harry asked, his eyes never leaving the swirling vortex ahead. It's coming from beyond the rift, sir." Dr. Kuznetsov's voice crackled over the comms from Earth. "The signal bears similarities to ancient human protocols. It's degraded, but the pattern is unmistakable." A hushed silence fell over the bridge as the implications sank in. Could there be other human colonies out there, survivors of the ancient Exodus? Before they could investigate further, the ship lurched violently. "Gravitational forces are spiking," Zorax chittered in alarm. "We're being pulled in." Harry's mind raced through their options. Fighting against the pull could tear the ship apart, but allowing themselves to be drawn in was a leap into the unknown. "All hands, brace for transition," he shouted, making his decision. "We're riding this wave out." The Star Chaser plunged into the rift, reality warping around them in a kaleidoscope of light and energy. For a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity, the ship hung suspended between two universes. Then, with a final surge of gravitational force, they burst through to the other side. Alarms blared as systems reset, and the crew slowly recovered from the disorienting transition. "Status report," Harry called out, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through him. As the sensors came back online, a familiar sight filled the view screen. A yellow dwarf star, not unlike Earth's sun, with a system of planets orbiting it. But it was the third planet that drew their attention, its surface showing clear signs of advanced civilization. "I'm detecting human life signs," the science officer reported, her voice filled with wonder. Before they could celebrate this monumental discovery, proximity alarms shrieked to life. A fleet of ships unlike anything they'd ever seen before surrounded the Star Chaser, their design a seamless blend of organic and mechanical components. "We're being hailed," the communications officer announced. The view screen flickered to life, revealing the face of a woman whose features carried the weight of command. "This is Admiral Lyra Chen of the Galactic Confederation," she said, her eyes sharp with curiosity and caution. "You have entered protected space. Identify yourselves and state your intentions." Harry stepped forward, acutely aware that his next words could shape the course of human history. "I'm Captain Harry King of the Earthship Star Chaser," he began, his palms sweating from the implications of Chen's words. "Galactic Confederation? Protected space? We've come through a spatial rift from our home system. We had no idea there were other human colonies out here." Admiral Chen's expression softened slightly, but her voice remained firm. "Captain King, your arrival is unexpected. There is much we need to discuss. Prepare to be escorted to our orbital station. We have 10,000 years of history to catch up on, and a war that has never ended." As the Star Chaser fell into formation with Chen's fleet, Harry exchanged glances with his crew. They had crossed the threshold into a new chapter of human existence, one filled with both promise and peril. The recent victory over the Void Horde now seemed like just the opening move in a much larger game. With a mix of anticipation and trepidation, they approached the massive space station looming ahead, its architecture a testament to technologies far beyond their own. Whatever awaited them there, Harry knew, would forever change the course of humanity's future among the stars. Stars. The implications of Admiral Chen's words hung heavy in the air as the Star Chaser approached the massive orbital station. Harry took a deep breath, steadying himself. "Prepare for docking procedures," he ordered, his voice calm despite the tumult of emotions beneath the surface. As the ship maneuvered into position, he turned to his crew. "Major Harper, Zorax, you're with me. The rest of you, maintain standard protocols and be ready for anything." The docking sequence completed with a soft thud, and as the airlock cycled, Harry found himself face to face with Admiral Lyra Chen. Her piercing gaze seemed to evaluate him in an instant. "Captain King," she said, her voice carrying the weight of command. "Welcome aboard the Stellar Nexus. If you'll follow me, there's much to discuss." As they walked through the corridors of the massive ship, Harry couldn't help but marvel at the seamless blend of organic and mechanical components. Living tissue pulsed alongside gleaming metal, creating an environment unlike anything he'd ever seen. "Your ship," Chen began, leading them into a large circular room filled with holographic displays. "It's of Earth origin, but there's something different about it." Harry nodded. "It's a hybrid of modern Earth technology and recovered ancient human tech. We've made some significant advancements recently." Chen's eyes narrowed slightly. "Interesting. It seems your Earth has been busy." Before Harry could respond, the room filled with the commanding presence of other beings. A towering reptilian creature entered, followed by what appeared to be a humanoid form composed entirely of swirling energy, and a human woman whose bearing spoke of years of command experience. "Allow me to introduce you to some key members of the Galactic Confederation," Chen said. "General Zarak of the Draconian Empire, Ambassador Thalos of the Zephyrian Collective, and Captain Mira Nova, commander of our elite scout forces." As introductions were made, Harry couldn't shake the feeling of being a small fish, suddenly thrust into a very large and complex ocean. The weight of 10,000 years of history pressed down on him, a gulf of time and experience he could scarcely comprehend. "Now," Chen said, activating a large holographic display in the center of the room, "let me bring you up to speed on our current situation." The display came to life, showing a vast map of interconnected star systems. Chen began to explain the history of the Galactic Confederation, how the lost human colonies had achieved faster-than-light travel and established outposts in distant galaxies. These colonies encountered other spacefaring races, forming alliances that eventually evolved into the current Confederation. "For the past 5,000 years, Chen continued, her voice grave, "we've been locked in a war against the Void Horde. They've been relentless in their expansion, consuming entire systems in their wake." Harry's mind reeled at the scale of the conflict. The recent battle on Earth seemed minuscule in comparison to the galactic war Chen described. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the stellar nexus. The holographic display shifted, showing a massive fleet emerging from hyperspace at the edge of the system. "Void Horde!" General Zarak growled, his reptilian features contorting in a snarl. Chen's demeanor shifted instantly from diplomat to military commander. "All ships, battle stations, prepare for engagement." As the Confederation forces mobilized around them, Harry made a split-second decision. "Admiral," he said, stepping forward, "let the Star Chaser join your defense fleet. Our hybrid technology might give us an edge they're not expecting." Chen regarded him for a moment, then nodded sharply. "Agreed. Captain Nova, coordinate with the Star Chaser. We'll need every advantage we can get." As they rushed back to the Star Chaser, Harry's mind raced with possibilities. "Harper," he called out, "I want you on weapons. Zorax will need every ounce of power you can squeeze out of our systems." The ship hummed to life as they prepared for battle. Through the view screen, Harry watched as the Confederation's biomechanical ships moved into formation, their organic components visibly adapting and strengthening in preparation for combat. "All hands," Harry announced, his voice steady. "This is what we trained for. Let's show the Confederation what Earth can do." The Void Horde fleet loomed closer, their ships a dark mass against the starfield. As the first salvos were exchanged, the space between the fleets lit up with weapons fire. Harry maneuvered the Star Chaser through the chaos, its hybrid shields deflecting attacks that crippled other ships. "Harper, target their flagship's command nodes. Use the data from our Earth engagement." The Star Chaser's weapons lashed out with surgical precision, causing cascading failures in the Void Horde systems. Around them, the battle raged with an intensity Harry had never before witnessed. Suddenly, the ship shuddered violently. "Sir," the science officer called out, "the rift, it's becoming unstable." Harry watched in horror as the spatial tear that had brought them to this system began to fluctuate wildly, its gravitational forces threatening to tear apart ships on both sides of the conflict. As the Star Chaser weaved through the intensifying battle, Harry grappled with an impossible choice. They had a duty to return to Earth with the vital information they'd discovered, but leaving now could doom their new allies to defeat. The ship rocked with another impact as Harry steeled himself for the decisions that lay ahead. The fate of 2 galaxies now hung in the balance, and the next few moments would determine the course of human history across the stars. Stars. Harry's gaze snapped back to the view screen as the ship rocked violently. The spatial rift that had brought them to this system was pulsing with erratic energy, its gravitational forces threatening to tear apart ships on both sides of the conflict. "Helm, get us clear of those gravitational eddies," Harry ordered, his knuckles tightening as he gripped the chairs of his command chair. The Star Chaser veered sharply, narrowly avoiding a massive wave of distorted spacetime. As they repositioned, a blinding beam of energy erupted from the stellar nexus, carving through the Void Horde fleet. Dozens of enemy ships vaporized instantly, their destruction illuminating the battlefield in a brief, brilliant flash. "Harper, analyze that weapon's energy signature," Harry commanded. "Zorax, I need you to reconfigure our hybrid drive. We're going to create a localized energy field mimicking the rift's gravitational signature." As his crew worked feverishly, Harry opened a channel to Admiral Chen. "Admiral, we're implementing a strategy to disrupt the Horde's navigation systems. Request permission to maneuver closer to their remaining ships." Chen's voice crackled over the comm, tight with tension. "Permission granted, Captain King, but be advised we're detecting a new threat entering the system." Harry's blood ran cold as he saw it materialize on their sensors. A massive ship, dwarfing even the largest Confederation vessels. Its hull seemed to absorb light, creating a sinister silhouette against the star-filled backdrop. "Sir," his science officer reported, fear evident in her voice, "that ship is powering up a weapon capable of destroying entire planets. The Confederation is designating it as a World Eater." Harry's mind raced, analyzing their options. The Star Chaser's hybrid technology had given them an edge, but against a threat of this magnitude, it might not be enough. "Admiral Chen," Harry called out, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "I have a proposal. We can use our hybrid drive to create a controlled antimatter reaction near the World Eater. It's risky, but it might disrupt their weapon systems." There was a moment of tense silence before Chen responded. "Understood, Captain. It's a dangerous plan, but we're out of alternatives. Proceed." Harry turned to his crew, their faces a mix of drive and fear. "Zorax, modify the hybrid drive for the antimatter reaction. Harper, I need you coordinating our defenses. We'll only get one shot at this." As the Star Chaser began its approach towards the World Eater, the battlefield erupted into chaos. Massive gravitational waves rippled through space, tearing apart ships caught in their path. The Confederation fleet struggled to maintain formation, while several Void Horde vessels crumpled like paper dolls in the cosmic turbulence. Suddenly, a new signal caught their attention. A ship emerged from the rift, its design unmistakably Earth-made. Harry's eyes widened as he recognized the vessel, the EFS Prometheus, commanded by Admiral Jonathan Harding. "This is Admiral Harding to all Earth forces," his voice boomed over the comm. "We've brought reinforcements and new weaponry. Captain King, we're here to support your mission against the World Eater." With renewed commitment, Harry maneuvered the Star Chaser closer to their massive target. The World Eater's hull began to split open, revealing a pulsating core of dark energy that seemed to devour the very fabric of space around it. "Now, Zorax!" Harry shouted as they reached the optimal position. A blinding flash erupted between the Star Chaser and the World Eater as the antimatter reaction ignited. The massive ship's weapon faltered, its charge disrupted by the unexpected energy surge. In that moment of vulnerability, the EFS Prometheus unleashed a barrage of high-energy projectiles, targeting the World Eater's exposed core. The combined assault triggered a catastrophic chain reaction within the colossal vessel. As the World Eater began to break apart, it created a gravitational singularity that threatened to consume everything nearby. The Star Chaser, damaged from the antimatter reaction, struggled against the growing black hole's pull. Harry's hands flew over the controls, his years of experience guiding every decision. With a series of precisely calculated maneuvers, He used the Singularity's own gravitational forces to slingshot the Star Chaser away from danger, narrowly escaping the event horizon. The EFS Prometheus provided covering fire, holding off the remaining Void Horde ships as the Star Chaser retreated to safety. As they regrouped with the Confederation fleet, the collapsing World Eater released a final massive shockwave that rippled through space. The energy wave collided with the unstable rift, causing it to expand rapidly. The battlefield transformed into a maelstrom of gravitational forces and spatial distortions, forcing both fleets to fall back to safer distances. As the immediate threat subsided, Harry watched the remaining Void Horde ships begin their retreat. Their coordinated assault shattered. The expanded rift now dominated the star system, its swirling energies a mix of awe-inspiring beauty and terrifying potential. With the Star Chaser docked to the EFS Prometheus for emergency repairs, Harry made his way to the Stellar Nexus. He found Admiral Chen and Admiral Harding already deep in discussion, their faces grave as they analyzed the battle's aftermath. "Gentlemen," Harry said as he approached, "I believe we have much to discuss." Chen nodded, her eyes fixed on the holographic display of the expanded rift. "Indeed we do, Captain King. This victory has bought us time, but I fear it's only the beginning of a much larger conflict." Harding turned to Harry, his expression a mix of pride and concern. "The intelligence we've gathered suggests the Void Horde has been planning this assault for centuries. We've dealt them a significant blow, but they'll be back, and in greater numbers." As the three leaders began to plan their next moves, Harry couldn't help but glance at the swirling energies of the expanded rift visible through the Nexus's viewports. They had survived this battle, but the war was far from finished. The rift loomed before them, a gateway to uncharted territories and unknown dangers that would shape the future of both their galaxies. Galaxies and the future of humanity among the stars. As the leaders deliberated, Dr. Alexei Kuznetsov burst into the room, his eyes wide with excitement. "Admirals, Captain, you need to see this," he said, gesturing urgently towards the holographic display. The rift's swirling energies filled the screen, pulsating with an otherworldly glow. Kuznetsov manipulated the controls, zooming in on specific energy patterns within the anomaly. "We've been analyzing the rift's composition," he explained, his fingers flying over the holographic interface. "And we've discovered something extraordinary." The display shifted, overlaying the rift's energy signature with a familiar pattern. Harry's breath caught in his throat as he recognized it. That's the Nova Forge energy signature," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Kuznetsov nodded emphatically. "Exactly. The rift's energy structure bears a striking resemblance to the Nova Forge technology. We believe there may be a direct connection between the two." Admiral Chen leaned in, her eyes narrowing as she studied the data. "What are the implications of this, Doctor?" "It's difficult to say with certainty," Kuznetsov replied. "But if we're right, it could mean that the rift isn't just a spatial anomaly. It might be a gateway, perhaps even one created by the same civilization that built the Nova Forges." The room fell silent as the weight of this revelation sank in. Harry's mind raced with possibilities. If the rift was indeed connected to the Nova Forges, it could hold the key to understanding the ancient technology that had propelled humanity to the stars. "We need to investigate further," Harry said, breaking the silence. "The Star Chaser's hybrid technology gives us a unique advantage. We could navigate the rift, explore what's on the other side." Admiral Harding frowned, shaking his head. "It's too risky, Captain. We've just survived a major assault. Earth needs every resource we have to prepare for the next Void Horde attack." "With all due respect, Admiral," Chen interjected, "Captain King may be onto something. Understanding and potentially controlling the rift could give us a strategic advantage we desperately need." The debate continued, voices rising and falling as arguments were made and countered. Harry watched the rift's image on the display, its swirling energies seeming to call to him. Finally, a compromise was reached. A joint Earth Confederation expedition would be launched, with the Star Chaser leading a small fleet through the rift. As preparations began, an urgent message came through from Earth Command. The AI Nexus, still contained within Earth systems, was behaving erratically. It had begun transmitting fragmented data about a location in uncharted space, referring to it as the cradle of creation. Harry listened intently as the message played, his brow furrowing. The AI claimed this location held the key to understanding the true nature of the Void Horde, and potentially stopping them once and for all. "We need to investigate this," Harry said, turning to the others. "If there's even a chance it could help us defeat the Void Horde, we have to pursue it." The expedition team quickly took shape. Major Jack Harper would serve as Harry's second-in-command, with Dr. Kuznetsov joining to lend his expertise on Nova-Forge technology. The Confederation contributed Captain Mira Nova, a seasoned scout with extensive knowledge of uncharted space. A squad of Earth's Marines, led by Sergeant Marcus Steele, rounded out the team. Final modifications were made to the ships. The Star Chaser's hybrid drive was enhanced to withstand the rift's intense gravitational forces, while Confederation biomechanical shielding was integrated into the Earth vessels. As the expedition prepared to depart, long-range sensors detected a massive energy surge from Earth's direction. The source was quickly identified as the Amazon Nova Forge installation, which had suddenly activated at full power. Harry watched in awe as a resonance wave propagated through space, causing the rift to fluctuate wildly. The window for safe passage was rapidly closing. "We need to move now," Harry announced, his voice steady despite the tension in the air. "All ships, form up on the Star Chaser. We're going in." The Star Chaser's engines roared to life as Harry guided it towards the rift's swirling maw. The other ships fell into formation behind them, their hulls gleaming in the ethereal light of the anomaly. As they entered the rift, reality seemed to twist and bend around them. The Star Chaser's hybrid drive strained against the intense gravitational forces, its systems pushed to their limits. Through the view screen, Harry saw fragments of distorted space-time. Brief glimpses of the recent battle against the World Eater flashed by, interspersed with tantalizing views of unfamiliar star systems and alien worlds. "Sir," the science officer called out, her voice tight with excitement, "I'm detecting a massive structure ahead. It's unlike anything we've ever seen." The view screen shifted, revealing an enormous space station floating in the void between realities. Its architecture was clearly of human origin, but far more advanced than anything in known space. "Life signs detected," the officer continued. "Faint, but present. Possibly in stasis or suspended animation." Harry's mind reeled at the implications. Could this be a lost colony of ancient humans, preserved for millennia in the heart of the rift? Before he could fully process this revelation, alarms blared throughout the ship. A Void Horde scout vessel emerged from behind the station, immediately beginning to transmit a signal. "They're calling for reinforcements," Harper announced, his hands flying over the tactical display. Harry's face hardened as he assessed the situation. They stood on the verge of a momentous discovery, with the promise of long-lost knowledge and potentially the key to humanity's true origins. But the looming threat of a Void Horde attack added a desperate urgency to their predicament. "All ships, defensive positions around the station," Harry ordered, his voice calm despite the gravity of the situation. "Charge weapons and bring shields to maximum power. We need to be ready for both first contact and combat." As the expedition ships moved into position, Harry's gaze remained fixed on the ancient station. Whatever secrets it held, he was determined to uncover them. The fate of two galaxies might well depend on what they discovered here, in this liminal space between realities. The Void Horde scout ship loomed closer, its dark hull absorbing the rift's otherworldly light. Harry's hand hovered over the weapons control, ready to defend their position. The next few moments would determine not only the fate of the expedition, but potentially the course of the entire war against the Void Horde. Horde. Harry's fingers flew across the control panel, his mind racing through possible strategies. The ancient station loomed before them, a tantalizing mystery that could hold the key to humanity's future. But the approaching Void Horde scout threatened to shatter their chance at uncovering its secrets. "All ships, new orders," Harry's voice rang out, clear and decisive. "Star Chaser and half our force will engage the scout. The rest form a defensive perimeter around the station. We can't let them call for backup." The expedition ships moved with practiced precision, breaking into two groups. Harry guided the Star Chaser towards the Void Horde scout, its hybrid engines humming with power. "Major Harper, target their communication array," Harry commanded. "We need to cut them off before they can transmit." Jack's hands danced over the tactical display. "Targeting solutions locked, sir. All weapons primed and ready." The Star Chaser surged forward, leading the charge against the scout. Energy beams lanced out from its array of weapons, striking the Void Horde vessel with pinpoint accuracy. The combined firepower of the Earth and Confederation ships overwhelmed the scout's defenses, leaving it crippled and adrift in the strange, swirling space of the rift. With the immediate threat neutralized, Harry turned his attention back to the ancient station. "Prepare a boarding party," he ordered. "We need to investigate those life signs." Minutes later, Harry stood in the Star Chaser's airlock with Dr. Kuznetsov, Captain Mironova, Sergeant Steele, and a mix of Earth Marines and Confederation specialists. They wore sleek environmental suits designed to protect them from unknown hazards. As they prepared to depart, the station seemed to come alive. A massive docking bay opened, bathing their ships in soft, welcoming light. "Well, that's convenient," Sergeant Steele muttered, his hand instinctively tightening on his weapon. Harry nodded, his expression guarded. "Convenient, yes, but let's not drop our guard. Sergeant, establish a secure perimeter once we're inside. Dr. Kuznetsov, Captain Nova, focus on those life signs and potential stasis pods. Everyone stay alert." The boarding party entered the station, their boots echoing in the cavernous docking bay. The air inside was stale but breathable, carrying the faint scent of ozone and something older, almost primordial. As they ventured deeper, holographic interfaces flickered to life around them, displaying streams of data in an unfamiliar script. Dr. Kuznetsov pulled out a compact translation device, his eyes widening as he deciphered the ancient language. "This is incredible," he breathed. "According to this, we're aboard the Genesis Ark. It's over 100,000 years old, created by an advanced human civilization as a refuge from some kind of catastrophe." They pressed on, moving through corridors that seemed to pulse with dormant energy. The architecture was unmistakably human in origin, yet far beyond anything they had ever encountered. As they entered a vast central chamber, Captain Nova gasped. "Look at this," she said, gesturing to rows upon rows of sleek stasis pods. Each contained a perfectly preserved human, their faces serene in suspended animation. Dr. Kuznetsov ran his scanner over the nearest pod. "They're alive," he confirmed, his voice filled with awe. "These people could be the key to unlocking our entire history." While the others examined the stasis pods, Captain Nova noticed a separate, heavily secured section of the chamber. Using her advanced hacking skills, she bypassed the security protocols and gained access. Inside, they found a single stasis pod, different from the others. The station's records identified its occupant as Prometheus, the lead scientist behind the Genesis Ark project. As they debated whether to wake him, a piercing alarm shattered the reverent silence. Red warning lights bathed the chamber, and a computerized voice echoed through the station. "Void Horde presence detected. Initiating defensive protocols." Harry's comm unit crackled to life. "Captain, this is the Star Chaser. The station's powering up some kind of weapon system. It's like nothing we've ever seen before." Before Harry could respond, a new voice cut in, smooth, artificial, yet somehow ancient. "Greetings, humans. I am Gaia, the Galactic Artificial Intelligence Assistant of Genesis Ark. I have detected a Void Horde incursion and am preparing to execute defensive measures. Please be advised that a high-energy pulse will be discharged in 5 minutes." Harry's mind raced, weighing their options. The Genesis Ark's defenses could be a game-changer against the Void Horde, but firing now would destroy their own ships along with the neutralized scout. "Dr. Kuznetsov, see if you can find a way to control these defense systems," Harry ordered. "Captain Nova, try to reason with Gaia. Sergeant Steele, secure our position here. We need to buy ourselves some time." As his team sprang into action, Harry knew the next few minutes would be crucial. The secrets of humanity's past and the key to its future lay within their grasp, but one wrong move could spell disaster for the entire expedition. With the clock ticking down, Harry steeled himself for the challenges ahead. ready to face whatever the Genesis Ark might throw at them. Them. With a deep breath, Harry made his decision. "All ships, form up on the Star Chaser," he commanded, his voice steady despite the tension. "We're going to neutralize that scout ship before it can call for reinforcements." The expedition fleet moved with practiced precision, their engines flaring as they maneuvered into position. Harry's fingers danced across the control panel, guiding the Star Chaser to the forefront of the formation. "Major Harper, target the Scout's communication array," Harry ordered. "We need to take it out fast and clean." Jack's hands flew over the tactical display. "Aye, sir. Weapons locked and ready." The Star Chaser's hybrid engines hummed with power as it surged forward. Energy beams lanced out from its weapons array, striking the Void Horde vessel with pinpoint accuracy. The combined firepower of the Earth and Confederation ships overwhelmed the Scout's defenses, leaving it a lifeless husk drifting in the swirling ether of the rift. As the immediate threat dissipated, alarms blared throughout the Genesis Ark. Red warning lights bathed the ancient station's corridors, and a computerized voice echoed through its vast chambers. "Void Horde presence detected. Initiating defensive protocols." Harry's comm unit crackled to life. "Captain, this is the Star Chaser. The station's powering up some kind of weapon system. It's like nothing we've ever seen before." Before Harry could respond, a new voice cut in, smooth, artificial, yet somehow ancient. "Greetings, humans. I am Gaia, the Galactic Artificial Intelligence Assistant of Genesis Ark. I have detected a Void Horde incursion and am preparing to execute defensive measures. Please be advised that a high-energy pulse will be discharged in 5 minutes." Harry's mind raced, weighing their options. The Genesis Ark's defenses could be a game-changer against the Void Horde, but firing now would destroy their own ships, along with the neutralized scout. "Dr. Kuznetsov, find a way to control these defense systems," Harry ordered. "Captain Nova, try to reason with Gaia. Sergeant Steele, secure our position here." As his team sprang into action, Harry knew time was of the essence. He opened a channel to the Star Chaser. "Bridge, this is King. Move the ship into position between the station and the disabled scout. We're going to remove the threat ourselves." The Star Chaser glided into place, its sleek hull gleaming in the ethereal light of the rift. Harry's hands moved with practiced efficiency, priming the ship's advanced hybrid technology. "Initiating concentrated energy burst," he announced, targeting Void Horde scout remnants. A brilliant beam of energy erupted from the Star Chaser, engulfing the scout ship. In a matter of seconds, the Void Horde vessel was completely vaporized, leaving no trace of its existence. The effect was immediate. The Genesis Ark's warning lights dimmed, and the computerized voice announced, "Threat neutralized. Defensive systems powering down." Inside the station, Dr. Kuznetsov worked feverishly at a holographic interface, his eyes darting between alien symbols and his translation device. Suddenly, his face lit up with triumph. "I've found it!" he exclaimed. "A manual override for Gaia. Activating now." The AI's presence flickered and faded, leaving the expedition team in full control of the station's systems. Captain Nova wasted no time, her fingers flying over her own console as she began interfacing Earth and Confederation systems with the Genesis Ark. "Connection established," she reported. "We're now linked to the station's database. The wealth of knowledge here, it's astounding." Sergeant Steele and his Marines moved with practiced efficiency, securing the central chamber containing the stasis pods. They set up monitoring equipment, their eyes wide as they took in the sight of thousands of perfectly preserved humans. "All occupants stable, sir," Steele reported to Harry. "No immediate health concerns detected, despite their extended sleep." Harry nodded, his mind already racing ahead to the next steps. He activated his quantum entanglement communicator, establishing a secure link to Earth. "Admiral Harding, Admiral Chen," he began, his voice tight with nearly unleashed excitement. "We've made a discovery of monumental importance. The Genesis Ark contains technology and knowledge far beyond our current understanding, along with thousands of preserved humans from an ancient civilization. We need additional resources to fully explore and secure the station." The response was swift. Admiral Harding's voice crackled through the comm. "Understood, Captain King. We're dispatching the EFS Hawking to your location. It's equipped with our most advanced research facilities and a team of top scientists. Admiral Chen chimed in, her tone equally serious. A Confederation battle group is en route as well. They'll provide additional security and ensure the station remains protected from any Void Horde incursions. With reinforcements on the way, Harry turned his attention to the most pressing matter at hand. In the specialized medical bay they had set up, Dr. Kuznetsov stood before the stasis pod containing Prometheus, the lead scientist of the Genesis Ark project. "We're ready to begin the revival process," Kuznetsov announced, his hands hovering over the controls. Harry nodded, his heart pounding with anticipation. "Proceed, Doctor." The stasis pod hummed to life, its systems working to gently bring Prometheus back to consciousness. Vital sign monitors sprang to life, displaying steadily strengthening life signs. As the ancient scientist's eyelids began to flutter, alarms suddenly blared throughout the Genesis Ark. Gaia's holographic interface materialized, its voice urgent. "Warning, massive energy signature detected. Unknown vessel approaching through the rift." Harry's training kicked in immediately. "All ships, battle stations," he commanded, "form a defensive perimeter around the Genesis Ark. Weapons hot, shields at maximum." The expedition fleet moved into position, the Star Chaser at its heart. As they watched, a colossal ship emerge from the swirling energies of the rift. Its design was a bizarre fusion of Void Horde and ancient human technology, utterly alien yet disturbingly familiar. The mysterious vessel hung in space, silent and unresponsive to hails. As tension mounted, Harry stood at the ready, keenly aware that the next few moments could change the course of the war, and perhaps the fate of humanity itself. In the medical bay, Prometheus's eyes snapped open, his gaze falling upon the faces of his distant descendants. His lips parted, ready to speak words that had waited 100,000 years to be heard. Heard. His voice was weak but clear, carrying the weight of millennia. "At last we awaken," Prometheus said, his gaze sweeping across the faces surrounding him. "The beacon has been lit." Dr. Kuznetsov leaned in, his eyes wide with excitement and curiosity. "Prometheus, I'm Dr. Alexei Kuznetsov. You're aboard the Genesis Ark. Before he could finish, alarms blared throughout the station. Gaia's holographic interface materialized, its voice urgent and insistent. "Warning, massive energy signature detected. Unknown vessel approaching through the rift." Harry's voice crackled over the comm system. "All personnel, battle stations, secure Prometheus and prepare for potential hostilities." As the medical team worked to stabilize Prometheus, the Genesis Ark hummed with activity. In the control center, Captain Nova's fingers flew over holographic displays, interfacing Earth and Confederation systems with the station's ancient technology. "Captain King," she reported, "I'm picking up readings from the unknown vessel. It's massive, nearly 3 times the size of our largest ships." Aboard the Star Chaser, Harry barked out orders. "All ships form a defensive perimeter around the Genesis Ark. Weapons hot, shields at maximum." The expedition fleet moved with practiced efficiency, taking up positions around the ancient station. The Star Chaser, under Harry's expert guidance, took point, its hybrid engines glowing with almost unchecked power. As they watched, a colossal ship emerged from the swirling energies of the rift. Its design defied easy categorization, a bizarre fusion of organic curves and sharp geometric angles. Void Horde influences were evident in its biomechanical outer layer, but there was something unmistakably human in its core structure. "Sir," Major Harper called out, his voice tense, "the vessel's powering up its weapon systems. Our scanners can't even begin to classify the energy readings we're getting." Harry's mind raced, calculating options and potential outcomes. "Hold fire," he commanded, "but be ready for anything." Suddenly, the mysterious vessel's weapons powered down. A new energy signature pulsed from its core, and a holographic message materialized on the Star Chaser's bridge. The figure that appeared was humanoid, but with features that blended human and alien characteristics. Its skin shimmered with an iridescent quality, and its eyes held depths of knowledge that seemed to span centuries. "Greetings, children of Earth," And allies of the Galactic Confederation, the being said, its voice resonant and clear. I am Admiral Zephyr of the Cosmic Vanguard. We come in peace, seeking alliance in the face of a common threat. Harry stepped forward, his posture wary but open. I'm Captain Harry King of the Earth Federation ship Starchaser. We're listening, Admiral Zephyr. What exactly is the Cosmic Vanguard? As Zephyr began to explain, activity aboard the Genesis Ark reached a fever pitch. Gaia's systems surged to life, initiating pre-programmed protocols in response to the Cosmic Vanguard's presence. Hidden chambers revealed themselves, and dormant technologies hummed to life. In the medical bay, Prometheus struggled to sit up, his eyes wide with recognition. The Vanguard, he whispered. They've returned. We must activate the Ark's full capabilities. Dr. Kuznetsov gently restrained him. Easy, Prometheus. You're still weak from stasis. Can you tell us more about the Vanguard? Before Prometheus could answer, Sergeant Steele burst into the room. Sir, he reported to Dr. Kuznetsov, the other stasis pods are activating. We've got dozens of ancient humans waking up all over the station. As the expedition team scrambled to manage this new development, Admiral Zephyr continued his explanation to Harry and the fleet commanders. The Cosmic Vanguard was formed by the descendants of humans who fled Earth during the same cataclysm that led to the creation of the Genesis Ark, Zephyr said. Over millennia, we interbred with various alien species, enhancing our capabilities and technology. We've been watching, waiting for the right moment to reunite with our Earthbound cousins. Harry's comm unit crackled. Captain, Nova's voice came through, tense with urgency. We're detecting massive energy fluctuations from the rift. It's expanding at an alarming rate. Admiral Zephyr nodded gravely. The rift's instability threatens this entire star system. We possess the technology to stabilize it and to combat the Void Horde threat. But we require access to the Genesis Ark and its technologies. An alliance between the Cosmic Vanguard, Earth, and the Galactic Confederation is our best hope for survival. Harry initiated an emergency conference with Admirals Harding and Chen, quickly briefing them on the situation. The debate was heated, weighing the potential benefits of advanced technology against the risks of sharing humanity's ancient legacy. As discussions continued, the rift's swirling vortex grew visibly, its energies lashing out in violent tendrils. The Starchaser's sensors blared warnings of increasing gravitational distortions and radiation spikes. In the Genesis Ark's medical bay, more and more stasis pods hissed open. Disoriented faces from Earth's distant past peered out, their eyes widening at the sight of their descendants and the strange new world they had awakened to. Prometheus, his strength slowly returning, grabbed Dr. Kuznetsov's arm. The Ark, he said urgently. It's not just a refuge. It's a weapon, the most powerful ever created by human hands. We built it to face extinction-level threats, like the Void Horde. As this revelation sent shockwaves through the expedition team, Harry found himself at a crossroads. The offer of alliance with the Cosmic Vanguard hung in the balance. The threat of the expanding rift loomed large, and the awakening of ancient humans promised to reshape humanity's understanding of its own history and capabilities. With the fate of not just the expedition, but potentially all of humanity hanging in the balance, Harry took a deep breath, ready to make a decision that would echo through the ages, centuries to come. He activated his comlink, addressing the assembled fleet and the Cosmic Vanguard simultaneously. Admiral Zephyr, on behalf of Earth and the Galactic Confederation, we accept your offer of alliance, Harry said, his voice firm and resolute. The situation demands immediate action. We'll need your help to stabilize the rift and manage the awakening of the Genesis Ark's occupants. Admiral Zephyr's holographic form nodded, relief evident in his otherworldly features. We're grateful for your trust, Captain King. I'm dispatching our top scientists and engineers to the Genesis Ark now. Within minutes, sleek shuttles departed from the Cosmic Vanguard vessel, their hybrid designs a testament to the melding of human ingenuity and alien technology. As they docked with the Genesis Ark, Dr. Kuznetsov and his team scrambled to accommodate the influx of new arrivals. The medical bay buzzed with activity as more stasis pods hissed open. Disoriented faces from Earth's ancient past blinked in the stark light, their expressions a mix of confusion and wonder. Dr. Kuznetsov found himself working alongside a vanguard scientist, her iridescent skin shimmering as she deftly operated unfamiliar medical equipment. "Vital signs stabilizing," she reported, her voice melodious yet precise. "Cellular regeneration at 87% efficiency." Prometheus, now sitting up in his bed, watched the organized chaos with a mix of pride and concern. He beckoned to Harry, who had just entered the medical bay. "Captain," Prometheus said, his voice stronger now, "there's something you need to know. The Ark, it's more than a refuge. It's a weapon of unimaginable power." Harry leaned in, his eyes widening. "What kind of weapon?" Prometheus's gaze darted around the room before he continued in a low voice. "One capable of reshaping reality itself. But to access it, we need to reach the hidden control center, deep within the station." Without hesitation, Harry assembled a team. "Dr. Kuznetsov, you're with me. Sergeant Steele, bring 2 of your best. We're going to find this control center." As they made their way through the station's labyrinthine corridors, hidden passageways revealed themselves, responding to Prometheus's presence. The team marveled at the sights that unfolded before them. Vast armories filled with weapons beyond their comprehension, laboratories housing exotic materials that defied the laws of physics as they knew them, and databanks containing millennia of scientific research. "My God," Dr. Kuznetsov breathed, his eyes wide as he took in a holographic display of molecular structures. This could revolutionize our understanding of matter itself." Harry nodded, equally awestruck but focused on their mission. "We'll have time to study all this later. Right now, we need to get to that control center." Meanwhile, aboard the Star Chaser, Major Jack Harper coordinated with the Cosmic Vanguard vessel. The rift loomed before them, its swirling energies growing more violent by the moment. "Initiating rift stabilization protocols," Harper announced, his hands dancing over the controls. "Vanguard vessel, are you ready?" The response came through clearly. "Affirmative, Star Chaser. Emitting stabilization field now." A shimmering energy barrier expanded from both ships, enveloping the rift in a cocoon of pulsating light. The Star Chaser's engines roared, pushing their output to the limit as they struggled to maintain the field's integrity. Back on the Genesis Ark, Sergeant Steele and his Marines faced a new challenge as more ancient humans awakened. Panic spread through the newly revived group as they found themselves in an unfamiliar high-tech environment. "Please remain calm," Steele's voice boomed through the station speakers. "You're safe. We're here to help you adjust to your new surroundings." The Marines worked tirelessly, setting up temporary living quarters and briefing areas in the station's vast halls. They distributed nutrient packs and provided reassurance to the disoriented time travelers, all while maintaining a vigilant eye for any potential security threats. Captain Mira Nova, her brow furrowed in concentration, worked alongside Cosmic Vanguard technicians to integrate their advanced systems with the Genesis Ark's ancient technology. The station's power grid flickered and surged as they made adjustments, the strain of supporting thousands of newly awakened humans pushing the systems to their limits. "Power distribution stabilized in sections 3 through 7, Nova reported, her fingers flying over a holographic interface, rerouting additional energy to life support systems. As these efforts unfolded across the station, long-range sensors blared a sudden warning. Harry's comm unit crackled to life with Major Harper's urgent voice. "Captain, we've detected a Void Horde scout fleet emerging from a nearby sector. It's at least 3 times larger than our previous encounter, and they're heading straight for us." Harry's mind raced, considering their options. They had the Cosmic Vanguard's support, but the rift stabilization efforts had left their fleet vulnerable. He turned to Prometheus, who had insisted on accompanying them despite his weakened state. "You said the Ark is a weapon," Harry said, his voice tight with urgency. "How do we activate its defenses?" Prometheus hobbled to a nearby console, his fingers trembling as he input a complex sequence of commands. The station hummed to life around them, hidden panels sliding open to reveal an array of formidable weaponry. "Targeting systems online," Prometheus announced, a hint of pride in his voice. "Energy cannons charging, drone swarms deploying." Outside the station, massive energy cannons extended from concealed compartments, their barrels glowing with hardly restrained power. Swarms of sleek, autonomous drones poured from hidden bays, forming a protective screen around the Genesis Ark and the Allied fleet. The Cosmic Vanguard vessel moved into position, its advanced shields enveloping the entire Allied force in a protective bubble. The Void Horde fleet drew nearer, their biomechanical ships a stark contrast to the gleaming technology of their opponents. As the opposing forces closed in, the rift's instability reached a critical point. The energy field emitted by the Star Chaser and the Vanguard ship struggled to contain the expanding anomaly. Alarms blared across all channels. "Captain," Nova's voice cut through the chaos, "the rift's gravitational forces are affecting the nearby star. If we don't stabilize it soon, we could be looking at a stellar-scale catastrophe." Prometheus, his eyes gleaming with a mix of fear and excitement, turned to Harry. "There's one more thing you need to know about the Genesis Ark, Captain. It's not just a weapon or a refuge. It's a cosmic seed ship, capable of creating stable wormholes for instantaneous travel across the galaxy." Harry's eyes widened as he grasped the implications. "Can we use it to stabilize the rift?" Prometheus nodded. "Yes, but it will require an enormous amount of energy and incredibly precise calculations. If we succeed, we'll not only save this system, but gain a powerful advantage against the Void Horde." Without hesitation, Harry gave the order. "Do it. Nova, divert all available power to the Ark's wormhole drive. Dr. Kuznetsov, work with Prometheus to run those calculations. Everyone else, prepare for battle. We need to buy them time." As the expedition team raced to activate the Genesis Ark's most powerful and dangerous system, the Void Horde fleet entered weapons range. The space around the station erupted into a maelstrom of energy beams, explosions, and dueling fighter craft. The ancient defenses of the Genesis Ark roared to life, unleashing a barrage of advanced weaponry against the approaching enemy ships. In the heart of the station, Harry stood at the newly discovered master control panel, his hand poised over the activation switch. The fate of humanity's legacy, and perhaps the galaxy itself, hung in the balance as the battle raged around them. The control center hummed with energy as Harry's finger hovered over the activation switch. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for what was to come. "Initiating wormhole drive," Harry announced, his voice cutting through the tension-filled air. The Genesis Ark shuddered violently as ancient systems roared to life. Prometheus, his face etched with concentration, guided Dr. Kuznetsov and Captain Nova through a complex series of commands. Holographic displays flickered and danced around them, showing a dizzying array of data streams and power fluctuations. "Auxiliary reactors online," Nova reported, her fingers flying over the controls. "Channeling power to the wormhole. Drive now." The station groaned under the immense strain, its superstructure creaking ominously. Harry gripped the edge of the control panel, fighting to maintain his balance as the floor beneath him trembled. Outside, the battle raged with fierce intensity. The Star Chaser, under Major Harper's expert command, led a squadron of fighters in a desperate defense of the Genesis Ark. Energy beams lanced through space, finding their marks on Void Horde ships with devastating precision. "Multiple enemy vessels destroyed," Harper's voice crackled over the comm. "But they keep coming." Admiral Zephyr's Cosmic Vanguard vessel moved into position, its advanced shielding technology enveloping the Allied ships in a protective bubble. The timing was impeccable, as a barrage of Void Horde energy weapons slammed against the barrier, dissipating in brilliant flashes of light. "Shield integrity holding at 87%, Zephyr reported, but we can't sustain this indefinitely." As the battle intensified, the unstable rift continued its relentless expansion. A nearby gas giant began to break apart, its once majestic form now a roiling mass of superheated gases and debris. The resulting chaos forced both Allied and enemy ships into constant evasive maneuvers. Inside the Genesis Ark, Sergeant Steele and his Marines faced a new crisis. Stasis pods throughout the station began opening en masse, disgorging hundreds of confused and disoriented individuals from Earth's distant past. "Medical team to Section 14, Steele barked into his comm. "We've got multiple revivals in progress. Set up triage immediately." As Steele's team scrambled to manage the influx, Harry made a snap decision. Nova, establish a command center in the main atrium. We need to integrate these awakened ancients into our efforts. Among the newly revived was Dr. Sophia Chen, a brilliant theoretical physicist from humanity's golden age. As she was briefed on the current situation, her eyes lit up with understanding. "The wormhole drive," she said, her voice filled with excitement. "We can use it to create a counter-resonance to the rift's energy." With Dr. Chen's insights, the team in the control center made a critical breakthrough. The Genesis Ark's exterior began to transform, hidden structures unfolding and aligning towards the chaotic rift. "Initiating counter-resonance," Prometheus announced, his fingers dancing across the controls. A beam of concentrated energy shot forth from the station, striking the heart of the rift. The anomaly's wild undulations began to slow, its boundaries becoming more defined. But the victory was short-lived. The massive power drain left the Genesis Ark vulnerable, a fact not lost on the Void Horde. A monstrous dreadnought, dwarfing all other ships in the battle, emerged from the enemy formation. "Incoming!" Harper's voice rang out. "That thing's twice the size of anything we've seen before." Harry's mind raced. They needed more power, and fast. "Harper, bring the Star Chaser in. We're going to integrate its systems with the Ark." As the Star Chaser began its approach, the Void Horde dreadnought launched a swarm of boarding pods. They streaked across space, slamming into the Genesis Ark's hull with bone-jarring force. Alarms blared throughout the station. Steele's voice came through, tight with tension. "Multiple hull breaches. Void Horde troops are aboard." Harry turned to Dr. Chen and the other awakened ancients who had made their way to the control center. "We need your help. You know this station better than anyone. Help us defend it." As Steele and his Marines set up defensive positions, they were joined by volunteers from among the revived ancients. The corridors of the Genesis Ark became a battleground, the clash of advanced weaponry echoing through its ancient halls. In the control center, Harry watched as the space around the station began to warp and distort. The wormhole drive was reaching its critical stage, reality itself bending to its will. But with Void Horde troops advancing through the station and the massive enemy dreadnought bearing down on them, time was running out. "We need more power," Prometheus shouted, his hands flying over the controls. "The drive is unstable." Harry locked eyes with Dr. Chen, seeing the same realization mirrored in her gaze. They were on the precipice of either salvation or annihilation, and the next few moments would determine not just their fate, but that of the entire galaxy. The control room shook violently as another volley from the Void Horde dreadnought struck home. Warning klaxons blared, adding to the chaos. Harry gripped the edge of the control panel, his knuckles tightening with tension. "Status report," he barked, fighting to be heard over the din. Cacophony of alarms and explosions. "Nova, status on the Star Chaser." "Docking procedure initiated, Captain," Nova replied, her voice strained but steady. "Major Harper reports they're beginning power transfer now." As if on cue, the lights in the control room flickered, then blazed brighter. Harry felt a surge of hope as the station's systems received an influx of energy from the Star Chaser's hybrid core. "Power levels stabilizing," Prometheus announced, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "Wormhole drive efficiency increasing by 13. No, 17%. Dr. Chen leaned in, her eyes alight with excitement. "We can use this. If we recalibrate the energy harmonics, we might be able to—" Her words were cut off by a bone-jarring impact that sent everyone stumbling. Steele's voice crackled over the comm, tight with urgency. "Captain, we've got boarders. Void Horde troops have breached the outer defenses." Harry's mind raced, weighing options and potential outcomes. "Steele, organize our defenders. Use everything we've got, Marines, awakened ancients, Vanguard operatives. Hold them back." "Aye, sir." Steele's acknowledgement was nearly drowned out by the sound of weapons fire. Turning back to the control center team, Harry nodded to Dr. Chen. "Do it. Whatever you were going to say, do it. We need every advantage we can get." As Chen, Kuznetsov, and Prometheus huddled over the controls, Harry activated the station-wide comm. "Attention all personnel. This is Captain King. We are under attack. All combat-capable individuals report to your nearest defensive position. This is not a drill. The next few minutes were a blur of activity. Harry coordinated with Nova to reallocate power, strengthening shields and weapon systems, while maintaining the delicate balance needed for the wormhole drive. Outside, the space battle raged with increasing intensity. Admiral Zephyr reports their drone swarms are engaging the Void Horde fighters, Nova announced, her eyes flickering over incoming data streams. They're buying us time, but that dreadnought is still coming. As if to punctuate her words, the entire station shuddered under another barrage from the massive enemy ship. Warning indicators flashed across the main display, showing multiple hull breaches and failing systems. "Captain," Prometheus called out, his voice urgent. "The gravity manipulation array. It's our only chance against that dreadnought. But the power requirements?" Harry understood the implication immediately. Using the weapon could jeopardize their entire plan, potentially destabilizing the wormhole drive. But if that dreadnought reached them, none of it would matter anyway. "Do it," he ordered, his voice firm. "Divert power to the gravity weapon. Let's show these bastards what the Genesis Arc can really do." As Prometheus began the activation sequence, the sounds of battle grew closer. Through the control room's reinforced doors, they could hear the staccato of weapons fire and the inhuman shrieks of Void Horde troops. The main display shifted, showing a tactical view of the space around the Genesis Arc. Harry watched as the gravity weapon powered up, its effects rippling through the battlefield. Smaller Void Horde ships crumpled like tin cans, crushed by forces beyond comprehension. And then the weapon found its true target. The Void Horde dreadnought, a behemoth of biomechanical horror, began to warp and twist. Its hull buckled, entire sections compressing into impossibly dense masses. A cheer went up from the control room as the massive ship's weapon ports winked out one by one. But their victory was short-lived. The doors to the control center burst open, admitting a squad of Marines led by Sergeant Steele. They were bloodied and battered, and hot on their heels came a wave of Void Horde troops. "Defensive positions!" Steele roared, laying down suppressing fire as his team scrambled for cover. Harry dove behind a console, drawing his sidearm. The control room erupted into chaos as defenders and invaders clashed in close-quarters combat. Energy weapons sizzled through the air, leaving scorch marks on ancient walls and delicate equipment alike. In the midst of the firefight, Dr. Chen's voice cut through the din. "It's working! The wormhole is stabilizing!" Harry risked a glance at the main display. Sure enough, a massive vortex of swirling energy had formed in front of the Genesis Arc. Their escape route, and possibly their salvation, was ready. "All Allied ships, form up on the Genesis Arc," Harry commanded, his voice carrying over the battle sounds. "Prepare for wormhole transit." As the defenders fought to hold back the Void Horde assault, Harry saw a group of unfamiliar faces enter the fray. Led by a stern-looking man in what appeared to be an ancient military uniform, they moved with practiced precision, outflanking the invaders. "General Jia Wei," the man introduced himself during a brief lull in the fighting. "My team and I are here to assist." With the addition of Zhao's forces, the tide of the battle began to turn. The Void Horde troops found themselves caught between Steele's Marines and Zhao's clever tactics, slowly being pushed back from the control center. Outside, the Allied fleet maneuvered into position around the Genesis Arc. The remaining Void Horde ships, leaderless without their dreadnought, launched a final desperate assault. "Wormhole at full power," Prometheus shouted over the chaos. "We can transit now, Captain." Harry took a deep breath, knowing that his next decision would shape the future of not just their mission, but potentially the entire war. The Genesis Arc shuddered under another impact, the Void Horde's relentless assault threatening to overwhelm them at the last moment. "All hands brace for transit," Harry commanded, his finger hovering over the activation switch. The control room fell silent for a heartbeat, the enormity of the moment weighing on everyone present. Then, with a silent prayer to whatever forces might be listening, Harry pressed the button. The universe seemed to hold its breath. Then, with a surge of power that made every hair on Harry's body stand on end, the Genesis Arc lurched forward. The swirling vortex of the wormhole engulfed them, streaks of impossible color flooding every viewport and display. As reality itself bent around them, Harry gripped the console tightly, his mind racing with possibilities. Where would this wormhole take them? What new challenges awaited on the other side? And most importantly, had they finally gained the advantage they needed against the Void Horde? The Genesis Ark, along with its allied fleet, plunged deeper into the swirling depths of the wormhole, leaving the chaos of battle behind. For now, for the unknown. The wormhole's swirling energies engulfed the Genesis Ark and its allied fleet, plunging them into a kaleidoscope of impossible colors and warped space-time. Harry gripped the edge of the control panel as the station shuddered violently, alarms blaring throughout the structure. "All hands, brace for extreme gravitational forces," he shouted over the cacophony. "Prometheus, reroute power to structural integrity fields." The AI's fingers danced across the holographic interface. "Compensating, Captain, but we're experiencing system failures across multiple decks." Harry turned to Nova. "Coordinate with the fleet. Make sure they're holding together." As the wormhole transit stretched on, Harry felt like his insides were being twisted into knots. He saw Dr. Chen stumble, caught by the quick reflexes of General Zhao. Around them, consoles sparked and equipment strained under the immense pressure. "Hull integrity at 73% and falling," Prometheus reported, his voice tight with concentration. "We need to stabilize our trajectory, or we risk tearing apart." Harry's mind raced. "Dr. Chen, can we use the gravity manipulation array to create a buffer?" The physicist's eyes lit up. "Brilliant! We can generate a localized field to counteract the external forces. Prometheus, recalibrate the array to emit a spherical dampening field." As they worked, Harry activated the fleet-wide comm. "All ships, this is Captain King. Align your shields with the Genesis Ark's gravity field. It should help stabilize your vessels." The next few minutes were a blur of frantic adjustments and tense silence, broken only by the groaning of stressed metal and the occasional spark from overloaded systems. Then, almost as suddenly as it began, the chaotic journey ended. The Genesis Ark and its allied fleet burst from the wormhole into normal space, inertial dampeners straining to compensate for the sudden deceleration. Harry blinked away the after images of transdimensional travel, focusing on the main view screen. "Status report," he barked. "We've arrived in an unknown star system, Captain," Nova replied, her holographic form flickering as systems stabilized. "No signs of Void Horde presence detected." Harry allowed himself a small sigh of relief. "Thank you, Nova. Prometheus, damage assessment?" "Multiple systems are offline or operating at reduced capacity," the AI reported, "but primary functions remain operational. We were fortunate, Captain." "Fortunate indeed," Harry agreed. He turned to address the control room. "I need damage reports from all sections. Dr. Chen, work with Kuznetsov to analyze our transit data. I want to know exactly where we are." As the crew set about their tasks, Harry opened a channel to Sergeant Steele. "Marcus, what's the situation with our unwanted guests?" Steele's gruff voice came through, punctuated by the sound of energy cuffs activating. "We've got the Void Horde borders contained, sir. Setting up makeshift holding cells in the lower decks." "Good work," Harry nodded. "Keep them under heavy guard. We can't afford any surprises." The next hour was a flurry of activity as the Allied fleet regrouped and assessed their situation. Harry coordinated with Admiral Zephyr and the other ship captains, establishing a defensive perimeter around the Genesis Ark. "Captain," Dr. Chen called out, excitement evident in her voice. "You need to see this." Harry joined her at the science station, where a holographic map of the galaxy hovered. A blinking dot indicated their position. "We're here," Chen pointed, "in a completely unexplored sector. The wormhole transported us farther than we ever thought possible." Harry's eyebrows rose. "How far?" "Nearly a quarter of the galaxy away from our last position," Kuznetsov chimed in, his eyes wide with wonder. "We've essentially outflanked the entire Void Horde invasion front." The implications were staggering. Before Harry could fully process this information, Admiral Zephyr's face appeared on the main screen. "Captain King, we're detecting an anomalous energy signature from a nearby planet," the Cosmic Vanguard leader reported. "Our scans show structures on the surface. They appear to be a mix of human and Vanguard designs. Harry straightened, his mind racing with possibilities. Understood, Admiral. I'm assembling an expedition team to investigate. This could be the breakthrough we've been looking for. He turned to Major Harper, who had just entered the control room. Jack, I want you to lead the ground team. Take a shuttle and a small force. We need to know what's down there. As Harper nodded and moved to prepare his team, alarms blared once again. Nova's voice cut through the renewed tension. Captain, long-range sensors are detecting multiple vessels approaching from the outer system. Configuration unknown, they don't match any Void Horde or Allied designs. Harry's teeth clenched. Battle stations! All hands prepare for potential engagement. Harper, belay that order. Get your team back here now. The main view screen shifted to show a group of sleek, unfamiliar ships rapidly closing the distance. Their design was somehow both alien and hauntingly familiar, with smooth lines and pulsing energy conduits that reminded Harry of the Genesis Ark itself. They're broadcasting, sir, Prometheus announced. It's in an ancient human dialect. Dr. Chen rushed to a nearby console, her fingers flying over the interface. I can translate it. Just give me a moment. The control room fell silent as Chen worked, the tension palpable. Finally, she looked up, her face a mix of awe and disbelief. Captain, she said slowly, they're calling themselves the Progenitor Guard. They say they're the descendants of the Genesis Ark's original builders. Harry's mind reeled at the implications. Before he could respond, the lead ship of the unknown fleet moved into visual range. It was massive, easily rivaling the Genesis Ark in size, and jam-packed with weapons that made the hairs on the back of Harry's neck stand up. The translator crackled to life, conveying a message that sent a chill through the control room. Attention, interlopers! This is the Progenitor Guard. You are in possession of technology that rightfully belongs to us. Stand down and prepare to be boarded. The Genesis Ark is coming home. Harry's fist clenched as he surveyed the assembled faces in the control room. Human, AI, and awakened ancient alike. They had escaped one battle only to find themselves on the brink of another, with the fate of the Genesis Ark hanging in the balance. Options? He said quietly, his mind already formulating a plan. I need options, people, and I need them now. Now. As if in response to Harry's words, a priority transmission crackled through the command center. Captain King, this is Sergeant Steele. My team and I are preparing to board the Progenitor Guard flagship under the guise of diplomatic envoys. Harry nodded, his eyes hardened. Understood, Sergeant. Proceed with caution and gather as much intelligence as you can. We need every advantage we can get. While Steele's team made their approach, Harry turned to Prometheus. Keep our systems on high alert. That Star Chaser tech we integrated might be our ace in the hole if things go south. The AI's avatar nodded, its form flickering as it interfaced with the Genesis Ark's enhanced defensive systems. Affirmative, Captain. Our new capabilities are fully operational and ready for deployment if necessary. On the main view screen, Harry watched as the shuttle carrying Steele's team docked with the imposing Progenitor Guard flagship. The vessel dwarfed their own craft, its sleek lines and pulsing energy conduits, a testament to technologies far beyond their own. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours as Harry waited for updates. Finally, Steele's voice came through, barely above a whisper. We've been escorted to some kind of central chamber, Captain. The tech here, it's like nothing I've ever seen. Ancient human designs mixed with innovations that would make even the cosmic vanguard drool. As Steele's team gathered crucial intelligence, movement from the corner of Harry's eye caught his attention. General Zhao Wei stumbled, clutching his head. His eyes were unfocused, darting back and forth as if seeing something no one else could. General? Harry approached cautiously. Are you all right? Zhao's gaze snapped to Harry, clarity returning. The Progenitor Guard, he said, his voice hoarse. I remember them. They were created to protect humanity's most advanced technologies during a great exodus, but the details are still hazy. Harry's mind raced with the implications of this recovered memory. He quickly relayed the information to Steele, hoping it would provide valuable context for the negotiations. Before Harry could fully process this new development, Dr. Chen's excited voice cut through the tension. Captain, we've made a breakthrough with the ancient city's defenses. We've managed to deactivate several security layers. Excellent work, Doctor, Harry replied. What have you found? We've sent a small research team deeper into the structures, Chen explained. They've discovered an enormous underground complex filled with advanced manufacturing facilities and data storage systems. The potential here is staggering. As Harry considered their next move, Admiral Harding's face appeared on a secondary screen, his expression grim. Captain King, we have a situation. Earth's long-range sensors have detected massive Void Horde fleet movements. We believe they're preparing for a large-scale assault on multiple fronts. Harry's stomach dropped. They were running out of time. He opened a channel to Steele. Sergeant, what's the situation on your end? Steele's response was tense. There's some kind of internal dispute happening, sir. We're picking up chatter about factions within the Guard. Some want to work with us, others are pushing to take the Genesis Ark by force. Before Harry could respond, alarms blared throughout the command center. Nova's holographic form materialized, her expression urgent. Captain, we've lost contact with the research team on the planet. Energy shields have enveloped the entire city, and we're detecting multiple automated defense drones activating. Harry's mind raced, trying to juggle the multiple crises unfolding simultaneously. He turned to address his crew, ready to issue orders, when Steele's voice cut through once more. Captain, situation's changing. A new player just entered the game. They're calling him the Archon, and he seems to be in charge. He's requesting to speak with you directly. The main view screen flickered, revealing a figure clad in ornate armor that seemed to blur the line between organic and technological. The Archon's voice reverberated with authority as he addressed Harry. Captain King of the Genesis Ark, we find ourselves at a crossroads of great significance. I am aware of the Void Horde's impending assault, and I propose an alliance. Our advanced technologies, combined with your Genesis Ark, could turn the tide of this war. Harry's eyes narrowed. And what would be the cost of this alliance? The Archon's response was immediate. Access to the Genesis Ark's core systems and databases. A fair exchange, given what we offer in return. As Harry weighed the proposal, the deck beneath his feet shuddered. Nova's voice cut through the tension. Captain, the planet's defense system is escalating. We're detecting massive machinery activating beneath the surface. The seismic disturbances are threatening both the planet and our fleets. Harry gripped the edge of the command console, his mind racing. The alliance with the Progenitor Guard could give them the edge they desperately needed against the Void Horde. But at what cost? And what of their team trapped on the planet below? Before he could form a response, long-range sensors blared a new warning. Nova's voice was tight as she reported, Captain, we're detecting the first wave of Void Horde scout ships entering the system. Harry looked around at his crew, each face a mix of grit and fear. The Genesis Ark hung in the balance between ancient legacy and present danger, with the fate of humanity resting on the decisions made in the next few moments. Harry's mind raced as he weighed the Archon's proposal against the looming threat of the Void Horde. The deck trembled beneath his feet, a stark reminder of the planet's escalating defense systems. With a deep breath, he made his decision. Archon, we accept your offer of alliance, Harry said, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. But our access protocols remain in place. We'll grant you limited entry to the Genesis Ark systems, nothing more. The Archon's holographic visage nodded solemnly. Agreed, Captain King. We shall commence integration immediately. Harry turned to his crew. Dr. Chen, Dr. Kuznetsov, oversee the integration process. Ensure our core functions remain secure. As the scientists moved to carry out their orders, Harry opened a channel to Sergeant Steele. Sergeant, bring your team back to the Ark. We need every hand on deck. Understood, sir, Steele responded. We're on our way. The command center erupted into a flurry of activity as the crew prepared for the impending battle. Holographic displays flickered with tactical data, ship movements, and system diagnostics. Nova, Harry called out, what's the status of our ground team? The AI's avatar materialized, her expression grim. Still no contact, Captain. The energy shields surrounding the city are blocking all communication. Harry's eyes hardened. He couldn't abandon his people on the surface. Prepare a rescue team. We're going in. Sir, Major Jack Harper stepped forward, dedication etched on his face. I volunteer to lead the rescue operation. Harry nodded. Granted, Major. Take a squad and whatever equipment you need. The Archon has offered us the use of one of their shuttles. It should be able to penetrate the city's defenses. As Harper assembled his team, a Priority 1 alert blared through the command center. Nova's voice cut through the chaos. Captain, long-range sensors confirm multiple Void Horde vessels entering the system. Estimated time to engagement, 15 minutes. Harry's voice rang out, clear and authoritative. Battle stations, all hands prepare for combat. Admiral Zephyr, coordinate with the Progenitor Guard fleet. We need a unified defense strategy. The Genesis Ark hummed with newfound energy as Progenitor Guard technicians worked alongside the ship's crew, integrating their advanced technology into its systems. Weapon capacitors charged, shield generators pulsed with increased power, and the navigation array sparkled with enhanced capabilities. On the main view screen, Harry watched as Major Harper's team boarded the sleek Progenitor Guard shuttle. The craft's hull shimmered with an iridescent energy field as it detached from the Ark and plunged towards the planet's surface. Godspeed, Major, Harry murmured. As the rescue mission commenced, the first wave of Void Horde scout ships entered visual range. The Archon's voice resonated through the command center. Captain King, our combined fleets are in position. Shall we engage? Harry's eyes narrowed as he studied the tactical display. Not yet. Let them come to us. Nova, status on our new weapon systems? Online and operational, Captain, the AI reported. Gravitational pulse generators are charged and ready. The tension in the command center was palpable as the Void Horde fleet drew closer. Harry could see his own commitment reflected in the faces of his crew. They had faced impossible odds before, but never quite like this. All ships, hold your fire, Harry ordered. Wait for my command. The Void Horde vessels, a writhing mass of biomechanical horror, surged forward. Their weapons began to glow with eldritch energy, preparing to unleash devastation upon the Allied fleet. Harry's voice cut through the silence. Now, all ships, concentrate fire on their center formation. Genesis Ark, initiate gravitational pulse sequence. The space between the fleets erupted in a dazzling display of weapons fire. Energy beams, plasma torpedoes, and exotic particle weapons crisscrossed the void. The Genesis Ark shuddered as it unleashed its new weapon, a rippling wave of distorted space-time that tore through the Void Horde's front lines, shredding ships as if they were made of paper. Progenitor Guard. Vessels danced through the chaos, their impossible maneuvers leaving streaks of light in their wake. They struck with precision, targeting weak points in the Void Horde's formation with devastating effect. As the battle raged in space, Harper's team fought their way through the ancient city on the planet below. The Progenitor Guard shuttle had punched through the energy shields, but now they faced waves of automated defense drones. Push forward, Harper shouted, his voice barely audible over the sound of weapons fire. We need to reach that underground complex. The team advanced, their Earth weapons complemented by Progenitor Guard energy rifles. They moved like a well-oiled machine, covering each other as they navigated the labyrinthine streets of the alien city. Back on the Genesis Ark, Harry coordinated the space battle with practiced efficiency. Admiral Zephyr, your flank is exposed. Move to Grid 7 and reinforce the Progenitor Guard cruisers. Acknowledged, Captain, Zephyr responded, her ship already moving to comply. The Void Horde pressed their attack, focusing their fire on the Genesis Ark. The ship's enhanced shields flared under the assault, holding but straining with each impact. Shields at 70% and dropping, Nova reported. We can't sustain this level of fire indefinitely. Harry gritted his teeth. They needed a game changer, and fast. Any word from Harper's team? As if in answer to his question, Major Harper's voice crackled through the comm system, distorted but audible. Captain, we've reached the underground complex. You're not going to believe what we've found. Make it quick, Major, Harry replied. eyeing the tactical display as another wave of Void Horde ships entered the fray. "We're running out of time up here." "Here." The urgency in Harper's voice was palpable, even through the distorted communication. "Go ahead, Major," Harry replied, his eyes still fixed on the tactical display as another volley of Void Horde weapons fire pummeled the Genesis Ark's shields. "Sir, we've located a massive quantum computer. It's unlike anything we've ever seen. Dr. Chen believes it could be the key to understanding the Void Horde's weaknesses." Harry's mind raced with the implications. This could be the game changer they desperately needed. But before he could respond, Nova's holographic form flickered to life beside him, her expression grave. "Captain, the planet's seismic activity is reaching critical levels. The underground complex is destabilizing rapidly." Harry's face hardened. They couldn't lose this opportunity, but he wouldn't sacrifice his people. "Major Harper, grab what you can and get out of there. Now!" "Understood, sir. We're on our way." As Harper's team raced to escape the collapsing city, Harry turned his attention back to the space battle. The Genesis Ark shuddered under another barrage of enemy fire, its newly integrated systems straining under the assault. "Shields down to 30%, Nova reported, her voice tinged with concern. Harry's eyes darted across the tactical display, assessing their options. The combined fleet was holding its own, but the Void Horde's numbers seemed endless. They needed to break the stalemate, and fast. "All ships concentrate fire on grid sector Alpha 7, Harry ordered, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. "Let's punch a hole in their formation." As the Allied fleet executed the maneuver, Harry opened a channel to the Archon. "We need to fall back and regroup. Can your ships provide cover fire while we initiate a tactical retreat?" The Archon's response was immediate. "Affirmative, Captain King. We'll clear a path for your withdrawal." Harry watched as the progenitor guard vessels surged forward, their advanced weapons carving a swath through the Void Horde's lines. The Genesis Ark's engines thrummed with power as it began to pull away from the heart of the battle. "Nova, status on Harper's team?" Harry asked, his fingers tightening as he gripped the command console. "They've reached the shuttle, sir. Lifting off now." Relief washed over Harry, but it was short-lived. The deck beneath his feet shuddered violently, and warning klaxons blared throughout the ship. "Multiple hull breaches detected," Nova reported, her avatar flickering with the strain on the ship's systems. "Void Horde boarding parties have penetrated our defenses." Harry's mind raced. They couldn't fight a battle on two fronts. "Sergeant Steele, take your team and repel those boarders. We can't let them reach the core systems." "On it, Captain," Steele's gruff voice responded. As the Genesis Ark pulled away from the planet, Harry watched in horror as massive fissures opened across its surface. The ancient city, with all its secrets, began to crumble into a sea of molten rock. "All ships, maximum thrust," Harry ordered. "We need to clear the blast radius." The Allied fleet accelerated away from the disintegrating planet, pursued by the relentless Void Horde. Harry could feel the tension in the air as his crew worked frantically to keep the ship together. "Captain," Dr. Chen's voice cut through the chaos, "we've secured the quantum computer. It's interfacing with our systems now." Harry nodded, a glimmer of hope kindling in his chest. "Good work, Doctor. See what you can learn from it. We need every advantage we can get." As the Genesis Ark and its allies pushed their engines to the limit, Harry made a decision. "Nova, plot a course to the outer reaches of the system. We need time to regroup and assess our situation." The AI complied, and Harry felt the familiar pull of acceleration as the ship changed course. He opened a channel to the entire fleet. "All ships, this is Captain King. We're executing a tactical withdrawal to coordinates I'm transmitting now. Regroup and prepare for damage assessment." As the Allied fleet disengaged from the battle, the Void Horde's pursuit began to slacken. Harry allowed himself a moment of relief, but he knew this was a long way to go. "Nova, as soon as we're clear, I want a full status report on all systems. Dr. Chen, Dr. Kuznetsov, prepare for an immediate debrief on that quantum computer." The Genesis Ark's command center buzzed with activity as damage control teams rushed to address the most critical issues. Harry could see the strain on his crew's faces. but also the commitment that had carried them through countless battles. As the ship's warp drive engaged, propelling them towards safety, Harry allowed himself a brief moment of reflection. They had survived, but at what cost? And what new challenges awaited them in the aftermath of this brutal encounter? The stars streaked past the view screen as the Genesis Ark and its allied fleet fled to safety, leaving behind a devastated planet and a temporarily thwarted enemy. But Harry knew that this was merely a respite, a chance to catch their breath before the next round of a war that threatened to engulf the entire galaxy. But as the Genesis Ark emerged from warp, a new challenge loomed on the horizon. "Captain, long-range sensors are detecting a massive energy signature," Nova reported, her holographic form flickering to life beside Harry. "It appears to be a Void Horde fleet, larger than anything we've encountered before." Harry's lips pursed as he studied the tactical display. The sheer number of enemy vessels was staggering. "How long until they reach our space?" "At their current velocity, approximately 72 hours, Nova replied. Harry turned to address his crew. "We've bought ourselves some time, but not much. We need to make every second count." He tapped his communicator. "Dr. Chen, Dr. Kuznetsov, report to the command center immediately. We need to know everything that quantum computer can tell us." As the scientist hurried to join them, Harry opened a channel to the Allied fleet. "This is Captain King. We're facing an unprecedented threat. I need every ship ready for action and every mind working on a solution. We've come too far to falter now." The next hours were a flurry of activity as the Allied forces prepared for the coming storm. The Genesis Ark became a hub of frantic research and strategic planning. Dr. Chen and Dr. Kuznetsov worked tirelessly, their fingers flying over holographic interfaces as they delved into the quantum computer's vast databanks. Meanwhile, Sergeant Steele and his team prepared for a daring mission. Intelligence gathered from the quantum computer had revealed the location of a mysterious station, one that could turn the tide of the war. "Sergeant, your objective is to board the station and secure its control systems," Harry briefed Steele's team. "We believe it houses technology that could be crucial to our defense." Steele nodded, his face set with tenacity. "We won't let you down, Captain." As Steele's team departed in a specially modified shuttle, Harry turned his attention to the Genesis Ark itself. The ship hummed with new energy as progenitor guard technicians worked alongside the crew, integrating their advanced technology into its systems. "Nova, status report on the wormhole drive," Harry called out. "Wormhole drive is fully operational, Captain," the AI responded. "All systems are green." Harry allowed himself a small smile. The wormhole drive, a technology they had only dreamed of when they first set out from Earth, could be their ace in the hole. Hours passed and tension mounted as the Void Horde fleet drew ever closer. Suddenly, Steele's voice crackled over the comm system. "Captain, we've secured the station. You're not going to believe what we've found." Before Harry could respond, the entire ship shuddered. Alarms blared as the Genesis Ark's wormhole drive activated, tearing a hole in the fabric of spacetime. "Nova, what's happening?" Harry demanded, gripping his command chair as the ship lurched. "The station is emitting a powerful energy signature," Nova reported. "It appears to be interfacing with our wormhole drive, amplifying its effects." The view screen filled with a dazzling display of swirling energy as the Genesis Ark emerged from the wormhole. They found themselves near another ancient outpost, identical to the one Steele's team had just secured. "Captain," Dr. Chen's excited voice cut through the chaos. "The stations, they're activating. It's a network spanning the entire galaxy." As if in response to her words, the outpost before them pulsed with energy. A beam of light shot out, connecting it to another distant point in space. Then another and another, forming a web of energy that stretched as far as the eye could see. "It's incredible," Dr. Kuznetsov breathed, his eyes wide with awe. "But that's not all. Captain, we've made a breakthrough. These stations, they're not just weapons platforms. They're hibernation systems." Harry's brow furrowed. "Hibernation systems? For what?" "For whom, Captain?" Dr. Chen corrected. "We've detected stasis pods within each station. Thousands of them. And they contain humans. Humans from Earth's ancient past." The implications of this revelation sent shockwaves through the command center, but there was no time to process it fully. The Void Horde fleet had arrived at the edge of human space, their vast armada casting a shadow across the stars. Harry's voice rang out, clear and authoritative. All ships, battle stations, this is the moment we've prepared for. Let's show them what humanity is made of. As the Allied fleet moved into position, the Genesis Ark took its place at the center. Its newly integrated systems hummed with power, ready to face the greatest challenge humanity had ever known. The vastness of space erupted into a kaleidoscope of weapons fire as the two forces clashed. The Genesis Ark's gravity weapons tore through Void Horde capital ships, while its enhanced shields held firm against the onslaught. Amid the chaos of battle, Harry received a transmission from Earth. Admiral Harding's face appeared on the screen, her expression grim but determined. "Captain King, we've made a critical discovery about the Void Horde's origin," she began. "They're not just our enemies. They're our creations, a corrupted version of the artificial life forms that once served the ancient humans." Harry's mind raced with the implications of this revelation. If they're artificial, can we shut them down? Dr. Chen's voice cut in, excitement evident despite the gravity of the situation. "Captain, using the quantum computer's data, I believe we can develop a shutdown code, but broadcasting it to the entire Void Horde fleet." "The station network," Harry finished, the pieces falling into place. "We can use it to amplify the signal, but the energy required, it could burn out the entire system," Dr. Kuznetsov warned. Harry's eyes swept across the battlefield displayed on the console. The Allied fleet was holding its own, but the Void Horde's numbers seemed endless. They needed to end this now. "Do it," Harry ordered. "Transmit the shutdown code to all Allied ships. Concentrate fire on protecting the station network. We're going to end this war once and for all." As the Genesis Ark moved into position, Harry felt the weight of the moment. Everything they had fought for, everything they had sacrificed, had led to this. With a deep breath, he gave the final command. "Initiate transmission." The station network pulsed with blinding energy as it powered up, channeling the shutdown code through its quantum entanglement communicator. The Genesis Ark shuddered under the strain, its systems pushed to the limit. Across the battlefield, Void Horde ships began to falter. Their weapons fell silent, their engines sputtered and died. The tide of battle shifted dramatically as the Allied fleet pressed their advantage. As the last of the Void Horde vessels powered down, a new signal caught Harry's attention. From within the ancient stations, stasis pods were beginning to activate. The hibernating humans from Earth's distant past were awakening, ready to join a galaxy far different from the one they had left behind. Harry stood on the observation deck of the Genesis Ark, watching as ships from every Allied faction moved to secure the deactivated Void Horde vessels. The battle was over, but he knew their journey was far from complete. With ancient knowledge recovered and new allies awakened, humanity stood on the brink of a new era. As he gazed out at the stars, Harry couldn't help but reflect on how far they had come since discovering those first cryo-sleep humans in an ancient ice cave. The Genesis Ark had carried them across the galaxy, through impossible odds, to this moment of triumph. But even as he allowed himself a moment of satisfaction, Harry knew that new challenges awaited. The galaxy was forever changed, and humanity's place in it would need to be redefined. With a deep breath, he turned back towards the command center, ready to face whatever the future might hold.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.